All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're out in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Yeah.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. I'm Chris Gonzalez. I'm joined by Jay McLovin and Jonathan Mathis. I got a lot to talk about here on a Monday. How you doing today, Jay?
Very, very well. I did a little research while we were in the intros, and come to find out, the last time the Yankees won the World Series, Frankie Cruz Jr., better known as Frankie C., better known as Frankie the Yankee, better known as the other half of the tag team duo of him and Pride, was 17 years old. That's the last time he remembers that World Series. Frankie, not throwing shade at you. We were just talking about the World Series, the Yankees, the last time they were in, and I just mentioned that. I wonder how old Frankie was when they won the World Series, and you were a whopping, bucking, strapping young man of 17.
I was 29.
I was 24.
Yeah, y'all don't even know how old I was.
How you doing, Jonathan?
You know what's funny? I graduated high school at 91. Frankie was born in 92. So Frankie was 6 months old when I first joined the military.
Frankie's looking for pride.
Pride ain't going nowhere. Pride ain't showing up no time soon. Pride is in a rabbit hole with some deep, deep, deep mental counseling over these
Frankie
Red Sox.
was born. What year was Frankie born?
Frankie was in 1992.
I was 7 years old.
Yeah. So you can see how young, Frankie is.
92, I've been 12.
Jesus Christ, he's a freaking baby.
How you doing today, Jonathan?
I'm doing well, my friends. How you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing wonderful. It's a great day today in the sports world. Tonight we got the home run derby. And, like I was telling you before, Chris and Jay, I think that is the best event when it comes to the All-Star break. The home run derby is obviously the most entertaining. So I can't wait to see what happens tonight. And, it's going to be wild. It's going to be cool to see who actually comes out on top.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm gonna put up. I really, truly believe, unless something crazy just happens, I think it's gonna be. Oh my God, what's that guy's name? Lonzo. I think it's gonna be Lonzo's year again, man. I just think he has the right formula. He has the right mentality, and I just think he takes it again, bro.
That guy's just a pure hitter, and he has fun doing it. You saw that last year. That guy was. Man, when he found the rhythm, he just couldn't stop hitting them out. He was just knocking them out of the park,
right.
And he was just spraying them all over the field, and over the fence. People was getting souvenirs out there, man.
I really think, like he said, the three biggest things I think that really, makes him better than the other three, unless the other ones have changed up their regimen, is the way that he hydrates prior to. I think he has the right pitcher that throws the ball the right way, and then he knows when to take those timeouts. You know what I'm saying? And reset and go for it. So I think he knows. I think he just knows the system well enough that he has a competitive advantage. And let's be honest, the trick in who wins that derby really lies in that pitcher. Can they put the ball at the spot where he needs it to be consistently? And a lot of times, if you don't have the right pitcher, that can really be the make or break whether or not you advance or don't advance.
Right.
Chris, you muted, brother.
We can't hear you.
No, thing about Alonso, yeah, you're right. The pitcher is real important for all of them. With Alonso, I think helps him is his swing is perfect for a home run derby.
Right, but he still has to have that ball consistently.
No. Yeah, the pitcher's the most important part. Pitcher's the most important part. Yeah, but I'm just saying, I think that's why he has so much success. So is he has that good pitcher, but then he also has a great swing for a home run derby.
Yeah, I mean they're just a married up couple that just complement each other, and that's why I think that's what makes them unbeatable at that, is just because of their relationship, and they know it, and they just know how to feed off each other. And they know where to put it right where it needs to be, like you said, and a swing. So it's gonna be really difficult to beat that guy.
He said Alonso will be dethroned.
Watch. He's absolutely fun to watch. I mean, you see the exhibition of power and the long ball, all the time, and. This guy is out there making it look easy, but I think he just has fun with it, and he's always out there having a good time. And that's the most important thing.
And I wonder, Frankie says Alonso will get dethroned. And if that's the case, I wonder who is the most likely candidate to actually dethrone him.
I think Soto could be a good one.
I don't know if he's going to be fully focused, though, on this home run derby, because, I mean, there's a lot going on right now within that organization. And then you're hearing all the speculations about him being traded to another team. And so I think the timing of, him turning down the deal would have an effect on how he performs in this home run derby tonight.
It could, or it could go the other way. He could go out there and kill it.
He could go
Washington.
Yep. It could, vice versa. You're right. It can go the other way as well.
Dustin says, made a comment. Schwarber wins. If Schwarber gets hot, he could be a guy that could be up there.
Right.
I gotta be honest, man. I really just want Pujols to win, man. I know I don't really think he has a good shot, but I would love to see that. I just think it's a good fitting end of his legacy, and just a good way to leave the game of baseball on that type of note. Man, I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. Anyone has a chance with this home run derby being here in LA. Anyone has a chance to win it tonight because the balls fly at Dodger Stadium. It's a.
Well, do you guys got a short field or a long field at your stadium? Like, where's your left and right markers at?
What is that?
Where's your left and right markers at in Dodgers?
I never really paid attention to the dimensions of the field, to be honest with you.
I'm just curious. I really got to be honest. I mean, I think the home run derbies that are the most exciting or the short porches. Like, if you look at Minute Maid, that Crawford box, if you hit that left side, man, you can hit home runs literally all damn day there. And then, of course, it has a deep center, but it does have another shallow right. So if you take a field like that, or you take Coors Field out there with the Rockies, or you go to even Milwaukee, those are some short porches that you can really knock a lot of dingers out.
I think if I remember right, the Dodgers left field is a little bit shorter than the right field, but I don't think it's very big, it ain't like a huge field.
Right.
Frankie says Dodgers have a short field, Jay.
It's a hitters friendly ballpark. So the balls are going to be flying tonight for sure, and then it's hot here, it's warm, Your left
field is 330. Your left center is 385. Your center is 395. Your right center is 385, and then you're back to 330 on the right. So I mean that's not bad. That is a pretty good part to hit him.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see if anyone with all the power on display tonight, I'm curious to see if anyone can clear Dodger Stadium and send a ball flying into the parking lot. We've seen that before. Stanton's done that. Stanton's done that.
Yeah. That would be cool to see.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like if you go to Minute Maid, their left field is only 315. Their right field is 326. Now, I think where Minute Maid does get a little bit more challenging than Dodger Field would be at the left center, right center, and center, because their center is 409, but then the left and the right's around the 362, 373. So
look how far they can hit those.
As shallow as it was.
Look how far they can hit them balls in what's it, Coors Field there in Colorado, up there in that elevation. That ball flies in that thin air.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the downside to those types of fields specifically is your pitching has just got to be impeccable, because if not, you're going to give up a lot of runs.
That's what I was getting ready to say. I'd hate to be a pitcher and my home field be on elevation like that in Colorado. It just makes that it's already a tough job, and you're making it a lot harder.
Right.
You know what I've been wondering? I'm kind of going to see what you guys think. I kind of get the older stadiums, like a Chicago or, things like that. Okay, I understand why they don't have the retractable roof, but like if you look at the Yankees, I brought this up. If you look at the Yankees field, and they rebuilt that new stadium, why the hell did they put a retractable roof on these sons of bitches? Like, you know what I mean? It just seems like the more I think that we should. I mean, they're losing a lot of games due to rain and things like that. But if you put a retractable roof financially and for the fans, it's just better that way. I don't know. I'm surprised that we haven't seen more stadiums when they get built go that direction. I still see a lot of open fields that are popping up.
Yeah, well, baseball traditionally is a sport that's played outdoors, so I guess they want to keep that going. So they,
but even though with the retractable roof, you still got the outdoors.
Right. You have the option to keep it open or closed. So I mean, I think it's really up to the ownership and what the organization wants and what they prefer. But you get some cities, and some states, they get rain all year round. It's not a seasonal type thing. I mean, here in California, we don't really have that issue because we don't really get 4 seasons here. We don't get that much rain here. So a lot of the Dodger games don't get postponed or get washed out or have to worry about 2-hour rain delays and all that kind of stuff. You don't see that too often. But Dustin
talks about Fenway and Wrigley can't be done. Yeah, I get that. That's what I said. That's why at first I was talking about the Chicago Cubs. I get there's certain stadiums that are historical landmarks, but for the ones that aren't historical landmarks, all these stadiums should be retractable roof. I think financially it benefits the teams, it benefits the fans, it benefits the league. I mean, it just makes damn common sense to have a retractable roof. That way, when the weather's great, you open that son of a bitch up, you got the whole skylight. And then when it sucks, you close it up and we keep playing baseball, damn it.
Right. And it's like that in Toronto. I know Toronto at the Sky Dome, they have a retractable roof. Miami, of course, you have to have a retractable roof because if you don't, those fans will be miserable as hell, burning up in the summer months. It's just so humid and so dry there that you have to have a retractable roof. And now I'm hearing about a possible new stadium being built in Vegas because there's been potential talks that the Oakland A's can be the next team on the move and their next home could be in Vegas. And they already have the renderings of the stadium and it's a retractable roof. You have to have a retractable roof in Vegas because it gets super hot there as well. So, I mean, you're going to see more and more of these stadiums being built because of the city and because of, the temperatures in certain cities and states.
And let's just be honest, the Oakland A's, their field has always sucked. They've never had a good field. That stadium sunk the day it was built, man. I mean, honestly, and that team deserves, a better stadium, better equipment, better. I mean, because if you go look at that field, to me, it just looks like an old rundown college field. It don't even look perfect. I don't know, man. It just looks like an old junker.
Well, there was even stadium renderings of them possibly stand in Oakland. I seen it, and it was pretty nice. it was going to be a waterfront stadium, but I guess the idea got shot down by the city officials or whatever, and so now it doesn't look like that's in fruition. But it looks like now they're going to be on the move. I'm here in Vegas, so they could follow the Raiders and be the next franchise, to move to Vegas.
Yeah, I have no doubt that the A's are going to go to Vegas because, like I said, Oakland just does not want to put money into their stadiums, and I don't think that their fan base is really truly supportive. So I think by going to Vegas, that team is going to benefit because there's going to be so much money that they're going to be able to get better players because now they can afford to have better players, a better stadium. I mean, everything will just dramatically improve for them, versus what they had in freaking Oakland.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I think it would be a move that would benefit them in the long run. And like you said, they would have a chance to land some, top free agents, if not, develop through the farm system, and it would be great for the Oakland A's if this move does happen. And like Dustin said, the stadium's already been built. So, that means the move is going to happen eventually.
And once the A's leave, there is no other team in Oakland. I think Oakland's just done for teams, right?
I think so too. It sucks if you've been a long time Oakland A's fan.
Right?
What do you do? Do you still support them now that they're moved to Vegas, or do you become a Giants fan? I really don't know. I guess that's
and really, if you're really truly an A's fan, or if you're really truly a Raiders fan, or whatever. These fans should be at these courthouses lobbying, for a better facility so they can keep their teams. I mean, some of it falls on the fans too. Hey, if you want to keep your team, go start lobbying for that shit. Or like you said, show up to games and show your financial support so that they'll stay there. But I mean, it is what it is.
We also got to be honest too. Look at that Oakland owner. That dude don't want to spend no money. He hasn't been trying to win.
I agree.
He hasn't been trying to win in a long time, so I don't blame fans to finally start giving up some on Oakland.
And they have a history of doing
loyal, and the owner never that don't try to win. So
right, and they also have a history of doing what the Marlins do, which they dump a lot of talent. Yep. And how can you build?
Same thing I've been saying about the Reds.
Right,
how can you build a team if you keep getting rid of everybody?
You can't. And that's what the Oakland A's have done repeatedly, year after year after year. I remember they had some of the best teams back in the day that couldn't be beaten.
Oh, yeah.
They were really, really good.
Late 80s, early 90s.
Right. Late 80s, early 90s, even the early 2000s when they had Giambi. They had a bunch of names on that team. And they eventually got rid of them all. And I just couldn't understand that. I know it's a team that commits to small ball, money ball and all this type of stuff. But, you can't continue to get rid of talent and expect your fans to be there 100% backing you up. That's just not going to happen.
Well, and speaking of getting rid of talent, to me, that's why Juan Soto is just turned down $440 million of a 15-year contract with the Nationals because he's tired of them getting rid of everybody and not building a team around them.
Right. And I think a lot of it had to do with for him too, was the years. He wasn't going to lock himself up for 15 years with one organization when he has a chance to go somewhere else. I think if it would have been less years, he might have considered, the possibility of staying. But I can see why he didn't take a 15-year, $440 million deal, simply because he didn't want to be committed to that team for so many years.
Right.
Yeah, but man, you know how hard it is to look at a $400 something million deal and be like, nah, I don't want it. Man,
hell no.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Jonathan, I saw that picture you put up on Facebook with Nolan Ryan, man. Hey, they don't make pictures like that anymore. I just want to see somebody try to charge him out against Nolan.
No, I mean, you don't see that in today's game too much. All sports have changed. It's not just baseball. It's basketball. It's football. It's just a different era. It's a different generation.
Yeah.
I will say this though, the players today are more skilled than the ones from the past. Today's players.
Well, you can't say more skilled than Nolan Ryan. Ain't nobody in the baseball more skilled than Nolan Ryan. That just ain't gonna happen.
I got you. I know what you're saying.
No, Jonathan. He was still throwing 104 miles an hour at 47 years old.
Right.
I don't ever want to hear no blasphemy when it comes to Nolan Ryan. That's like me blaspheming Tom Brady. I'm not gonna blaspheme Tom Brady. We all know he's a goat. And I'm sorry. Ain't nobody more skilled than Nolan freaking Ryan. And I'll challenge anybody to that. So, Jonathan, you have to put the caveat in there. Is what I'm getting at. Put the caveat in there.
It's crazy though to me that he's never won. I believe it's the Cy Young Award.
And struck a nerve.
Yeah, that's unbelievable to me. As great of a pitcher he was, and how dominant he was on the mound, and he's never won a Cy Young Award. I mean,
and a lot of that stuff I don't understand. I mean, I don't know how you have 5,700 strikeouts, which God knows nobody's ever going to touch. And then you have the most no-hitters, and then you have a no-hitter in your late 40s. Yeah, nobody's going to touch that. So, again, no Cy Young to me is completely stupid on their part.
Right.
But then again, I think we can all agree. We kind of shake our heads sometimes. And look, I'm a Rockets fan, but even I know that we gave James Harden MVP in the league. Come on, really? Okay, I'll play on that one.
Yeah, no, and a lot of that was because of his monster numbers and his ability to score at such a high level.
I look at Luka Doncic that scores more in the playoffs than he ever did, but yet we give it to him. So, okay, I guess my point I'm making is, sometimes people get awards, in my opinion, that don't necessarily, and I think a lot of y'all would say they don't really necessarily deserve it. But I think sometimes that popularity comes in, or maybe a better team comes. I mean, there's so many X factors I think that play into that I don't get it sometimes.
Dustin's right. I think that's what I meant to say. Position players are more skilled than ever before. And that's in every sport. That's even in basketball. That's in football as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, I think this is a sign of time, right? Because we do evolve as athletes. I mean, better sports nutrition, better training aids, better technique. I mean, everything's going to evolve. I mean, hell, man, if it didn't evolve, we'd all be cavemen running around, with no cars, no nothing. So trying to light a damn fire outside, which God knows I would die as a caveman because I couldn't start a fire for my life. But, yeah, you got to evolve.
Right. And you have seen an evolution in all of these sports, basketball, football, baseball, and it's constantly evolving as the years progressed, which is very amazing to see because you got an insane collection of talent out there on display. And, you see these younger players coming in now, and man, they're just built for this. They're incredibly skilled.
I think younger players, I don't know if I'd say they're more skilled. I think players now are more athletic than what players in the past were.
I think I'm more inclined to go with that route of athletic.
Because if you go skilled, because I don't know if there's ever been anybody more skilled than Ozzie Smith or Barry Larkin at shortstop. Even though you guys,
or even a Derek Jeter at shortstop.
Or Derek,
Derek Jeter was my guy.
So what I think it is younger guys these days are better athletes than they used to be. So you see more players with that kind of skill than what you used to in the past. We had skilled players, but not as many as you do now, because overall we're better athletically now than what we were 20, 30 years ago.
Let me ask you this question. Have y'all seen anybody at the bat that's more skilled than Tony Gwynn was? Tony Gwynn was a beast, and the outfield too. I mean, that dude was a beast.
Might have been the purest hitter, if not of his generation, maybe of all time.
I didn't like the Padres, but I got to admit, I was always impressed with Tony Gwynn, and the way he hit that damn ball was just ridiculous.
What was it? Like 13, 14 seasons in a row that he hit over 300?
Yeah, it's just, I'll have to look that up, but it's an incredibly crazy number.
It is. His statistics were just off the chart.
Says Dave Concepcion. Concepcion was a hell of a hitter too.
Yep.
And then look how good of a catcher Mike Piazza was. That
and Jay, you're forgetting a particular guy. He played for your Astros back in the day, David Bell. Not David Bell.
David Bell was good. David Bell was good.
David Bell needs to get out of the.
No, not Bell.
Yeah, you're talking about Bell. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. He was an excellent hitter.
Bro, we had a lot. Honestly, Houston's had a lot of really good hitters over the years. I mean, we had people don't even remember Jose Cruz. Jose Cruz was a really good at bat as well for the Astros back in the 70s, even almost into the early 80s. Johnny Bench was good. Yeah, but you know what amazes me? And I think sometimes he really gets overlooked for talent-wise. You know, people, when I think of Babe Ruth, like I was telling Frankie the other day, Babe Ruth had a bat that wasn't really even a bat. It was more like a club. Like, that thing was so antiquated and so heavy. I don't even know if Barry Bonds could swing that son of a bitch.
Jay, I meant to say Derek Bell.
Derek Bell, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Derek Bell.
Derek Bell was a great contact hitter.
But you know what though? If you think about it, how many people go to the plate and hit a ball over the fence drunk as shit? And he did it a shit ton. To the tune of what? Number 2 in the league, right behind Hank Aaron. But I mean, think about it. The guy was drunk half the time. That's just a knock on Babe Ruth. He was a lush. He was a drunk most of the time. But he could hit the shit out of that damn ball. And he was a pitcher too. I think a lot of times we forget about the past and what, people in the past and what they did. I mean, I don't know if too many big players today go to the plate, and I'm not advocating, alcoholism, but I'm just saying, how many people are going to go to the plate and hit home runs in today's society? I'm just saying. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
Can
amazing.
you imagine if Babe Ruth was sober? Well, he may have passed Hank Aaron. I don't know.
What? Let me ask you guys a question. And good stat guys even joining too. So he's a big baseball guy. What? We'll start with Jay. What have we learned in the first half of the season, Jay?
So
what have we learned here after the first half of the Major League Baseball season?
Well, I tell you, and unfortunately, I'll probably never hear the end of it from Mickey Delaney, but I think we learned a couple of things. I think we learned that the Yankees started out shit hot, and now kind of going into the All-Star break, they kind of cooled off a little bit, but they're still right there. So, frankly, I don't think I'm throwing shade, but they really came out, with a burst of speed, and now they kind of have leveled off a little bit. So we got to wait and see what comes. Like I said, out of that second half, the Astros, man, we started out slow. And then we kind of picked up the pace, and now we're kind of like right there where the Yankees are. But then you look at a team like the Mariners, as people were downplaying how soft our division is. And again, Mickey Delaney, don't get this overhyped because your streak does include a shit ton of sub-500 teams. So it's not like you got the strongest win streak going for yourself. But at the same time, they're 9 games under the Astros. They're 1 game underneath Tampa Bay Devil Rays. And they are playing incredibly good ball now. And then you got a team like, Boston, who we thought was going to be really good, and then they go up against the Yankees and they just get shit-faced killed. I mean, back-to-back, just embarrassing. Of course, you can say one of them was Sell getting the broken fingers, so that did kind of go against them. But still, at the end of the day, their bats were cold. And so you see kind of Boston coming back into reality. Really the biggest thing for me is Toronto. I thought Toronto would be a little bit better than where they are now. So Toronto really has kind of disappointed me. I think, like you said, the Dodgers, they're obviously playing well. San Diego is still right there. We see them in the hunt. Atlanta really kind of disappointed me. Logan, I'm sorry, but your boy disappointed me. You had an excellent opportunity to take over first place, and you freaking blew it. You blew it. So now you're out there sitting underneath the Mets and having to deal with it. So again, a lot of things are happening, and I think you're seeing a lot of teams rise and some teams fall, and some teams that are coming up that we didn't think were going to come up. I think going into the All-Star break. So really, that second half of the season is going to be, I expect a lot of fireworks, and I expect a lot of great things as we get ready for the playoffs.
What about you, Jonathan? What do you think we've learned here in the first half of the season?
We've learned once again that talent isn't everything. Consistency is everything. And the Blue Jays haven't been able to put it together consistently. They have all the talent in the world, but a lack of consistency, across their roster has been the main reason for their first half results, which has looked very, very terrible.
Not necessarily.
Not really.
No,
I
there's
thought-
only one. There's only one part of their roster, which is why they're failing, and that's their pitching. They only have 2 starters in their rotation with an ERA under a 4, and they have 3 with an ERA over a 5. That's why they're in the position they are, because they don't have starting pitching.
And I thought
Kevin Gosman and their other guy, Alec Manoah, are the only 2 that have an ERA under a 4. Jose Barrios is at like a 5.1. Hyun-Jin Ryu is at like 5.4 before he got hurt. And then you have the other guy that got this offseason, Yusei Kikuchi, who's at like a 4.9. They don't have any starting pitching. If they make a move for one starter, say Frankie Montas or something like that,
could
then
change
that
the whole
rotation is in a
narrative.
much better spot.
Right.
They got a
then
player
the
named Coochie.
They've been a surprise.
Hey, what's up, Frankie?
The Yankees, they've been a major surprise. And Stat Guy just mentioned how bad the Blue Jays pitching been. That's the opposite for the Yankees. The Yankees pitching has been top notch. You know that's been the difference for the
And the thing about this for the Yankees though is, and Frank will agree, losing Severino with that lat strain. I mean, I think Frankie
We didn't lose him.
Is it 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
No, it's 2 weeks, but we didn't lose him. He's not on the IL. He's not really hurt. He's just Aaron Boone just want to rest him and make sure he's okay. And Luis Severino even said that he's not. It's not a full bad injury. It's just like a little sore in his arm, so he's just resting it out for 2 weeks.
Bro, hey, Frankie, them dudes ain't doctors. If they're smart, they'll, like you said, they'll take that full 2 weeks. Even if you're not in the IL, that's fine. But take that full 2 weeks, because I'm telling you,
Yeah.
don't come back and re-injure that crap. Because hey, this is the year of no excuses.
Well,
None. Zero
well,
will be tolerated.
it's actually perfect for Luis Severino. It's not perfect, but it's a good thing that he's going to be out for
It's
2
good
weeks
for Severino to take that time off.
because we also have a pitcher that was out in the first half, and I don't know if you guys know him. His name is Domingo.
Mm-hmm.
We have Domingo. He's coming back from injury, and he's supposed to be pitching for us in the second half of the season. So,
It's interesting. So we got the trade deadline not that far away. I believe it's August, August 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. So the trade deadline is right there too, right after the All-Star break. What team do you think is going to make the most splash?
The Yankees are going to get Contreras.
yeah, baby, I love how everybody's saying that.
The Yankees
Sorry,
are going to
Chris.
get who?
Sorry.
They're going to get
Chris.
Wilson Contreras from the Cubs. They've been trying to get him for the last 3 years, and now that he's a free agent after this year, the Cubs are just going to pull the trigger and send him to New York.
What about Luis
Chris is like,
Castillo? Where could he possibly?
He might go
go?
to the
Hey, now.
Yankees too.
Luis Castillo is probably going to end up in Toronto, in my opinion.
He's going to end up back with the
Not
Reds.
the Orioles. You don't think the Orioles buy at the trade deadline? You don't think?
No, because the Orioles have a bunch of really good starting pitchers in AAA right now, where I think they're willing to kind of ride out what they have right now, kind of ride out the wave of success that they've had this year and see what happens. And then next year when you start bringing up those arms from AAA, then you can see them start making the big free agent signings and the trades next year. Because any move the Orioles make this year, one of those pitchers is probably going to have to be included. So why risk it when your team's probably not going to make the playoffs this year, when you can just wait for an additional year and then kind of make the moves you want to make?
Right, makes sense.
Yeah, I don't really see the Astros, my team at all, making a splash. I think if they were going to do anything, they might try to upgrade. Like I was telling Frankie, they might try to upgrade at the catcher position from a batting average standpoint, not necessarily a game calling, because Maldonado probably is one of the best game callers in the game. It's just his bat isn't as good. So, again, and then, of course, we did bring up Lee, and Lee's actually hitting the ball quite well. But I think if we were to do anything, it would maybe be an upgrade at the catcher position. But honestly, I expect the Astros just kind of stay pretty much firm where they are. I know we got Lance McCullers getting ready to come off the DL. I think within a week or so after the All-Star break. So, man, if anything, I think the Astros are probably going to have to bump down Urquidy out of the rotation and put him at the bullpen, because our starting rotation is stacked.
What do you think we've learned in the first half of the season, Dustin?
Well, we've learned that there's 5 really good baseball teams. There's about 10 really bad baseball teams. And then there's about 15 teams that are kind of in the middle that have no direction on where they want to go. And the standings reflect that. You have teams like the Yankees, the Astros, the Mets, and the Dodgers pretty much running away with their division at this point. Atlanta's gotten hot, but they got off to a slow start. And then you look at Oakland, Washington, the Cubs, the Reds, the Diamondbacks, like those teams are absolutely terrible and have no hopes of competing for the next 3, 4, 5 years. And then everybody else is pretty much in the middle. Tampa Bay is 10 games over, Toronto 7 games over, Boston's 3 games over. Everybody in the AL Central in the top 3 is either 500 to 6 games over. Seattle's 9 games over, but they're on a 14-game win streak. The league is full of parity, but it's very top-heavy parity. You have, like I said, 5 really good teams that are probably going to be your World Series favorites when the playoffs start. And then you have those 10 teams kind of in the middle that are just going to jockey for those final wild card spots, and then everybody else is just kind of stuck in the who do we trade and when do we trade these players mode.
Yeah, you got those bottom 10 teams that have either terrible management or a terrible GM or owners
Just
not
terrible.
trying to win. That's
We're
where
just terrible.
Well, that's sure usually terrible because the owner don't want to spend money to try to win.
No, it's just they're just terrible. Look at the Cubs; they're just terrible.
I tell you what, that whole Juan Soto thing. Do you think he gets traded before the playoffs?
Nope.
No.
They don't have to trade him before the playoffs because they still have him under control for 2 more years.
Yeah, he's still under team control.
He's still under team control for 2 more years, so they don't have to trade him yet.
No, but I tell you, hey, I saw something I think it was on Sporting News where the Nationals were really thinking about listening to the New York Mets. They seem like they got 3 of their prospects that the Nationals really would like to have, and I think they know that Soto's not going to sign with them. So, me personally, I wouldn't be surprised if the Mets pull off that trade.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised either. But
they want to replenish their farm system because it's depleted.
Right. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Mets make that deal either, but Washington's going to want a haul for him. And are the Mets going to be willing to dish out the haul that Washington wants only because Washington's in the same division as the Mets? So if you're going to help Washington out by giving Washington all these prospects to take on Soto, what happens if 5 years down the road Washington becomes a better team for it and ends up beating you out for the division?
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of where you got to draw that fine line as to how much do you want to help your division rival, as opposed to you could send Juan Soto to the Dodgers or you could send them to Houston or anywhere else and basically get rid of him out of your division and not have to worry about him ever again, except for if you play him maybe 5 or 6 times a year. Because if you trade him to the Mets, not only do you see him 14 times a year starting next year because the schedule format changes next year, but you could see him 14 times a year next year plus an additional 10-plus years. So you could still see him 140, 150 games as opposed to trading him somewhere else where you'll be lucky to see him 3 or 4 times in a year.
I don't think Washington's really that. I mean, I think they're concerned, but I don't think that's going to hamper them from doing it according to what they're saying.
I mean, look at all the trades Washington has made the last several years. Have they traded anybody within their own division?
Yeah, but
they will yes, they're going to listen to offers, but when it comes down to it, they're not going to help somebody out in their division. If it was a short-term type of thing, like kind of like a rental, that'd be one thing. Like if you're sending a rental over to the Braves, if you're sending a rental over to the Mets just for the rest of this year, knowing that that player's not coming back next year, but you're not going to send somebody that could help a team for more than a decade in your own division, especially a player like the caliber of Juan Soto.
But most likely, he's not going to sign an extension wherever he goes. I mean, that's uncharacteristic for a player who is being represented by Scott Boras. Scott Boras likes his players to become free agents, so they could try to get the best deal out there on the market. So I don't expect Juan Soto to sign an extension with any team. I think he's gonna, test the free agent waters and go from there. I would be very surprised if he signs an extension. Very.
But that means Juan Soto is going to have to get up to that 247 batting average, and he's going to have to bring that batting average back up, for 2 more years if he waits on that extension. He's really going to have to keep that up, in order to see that big 440. I think, man, when you got that money in the hand, it's like the money's in the hand, it's like pound the bush. Take that shit, because right now you're riding the hot wave. Damn it. But I get it. Hey, Scott Boras, what you're saying about him, he does that. It's his style. I just hope it really pans out for Soto.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Boras wants Soto to test the market or not. there ain't a team in their right mind that's going to give him a 15-year, $450 million contract.
And then there too, stat guy, he says he wants to be on a winning team. Well, how do you have a winning team and you 440, 500 million? I mean, you're all stunting what you're trying to get to.
I mean, he can get to a winning team, but that winning team's not going to be winning for 15 years. If you're taking on that contract for 15 years, you might be a winning team for like 5 or 6 of those years, and that's about it.
Why does baseball find these contracts to 15 years when you know a guy's never going to be able to fulfill that whole contract?
Well, I guess they do it to lock them up. They know that they're probably not going to fulfill that whole contract, but
for the player, it's more financial security, really, for the player, for the organization.
At the same time, Jonathan, it's not like football where you have guaranteed money. There's 15 years, X amount of money, but that money's not all guaranteed either. But what happens if you get hurt in year 3? You lost out on what, 12 years? Because there's no real guarantee, right?
Right.
Hold on, there's that guy from the Mets who's still getting paid, and he's not even playing for them.
Oh,
Bobby Bonilla Day.
Yeah.
He's still getting paid from the Mets. So Juan Soto can do what he's doing.
Dude is chilling. Right now too. And his day just recently passed too.
It's what, 1.5 million or something?
Yeah, it's a lot. And I think he's still, how long is that contract?
I think it's like
2027 or 2030.
Yeah.
I think 27
2030.
Is it 2030? Yeah.
2030.
It's a hot minute. But damn, if you got 500
yeah,
million,
my daughter would be 9 years old.
If you got $500 million contract, how far can you stretch that shit? That's how I stretch it to eternity.
What'd you guys think about the first couple rounds of the Major League Baseball draft last night?
I thought it was interesting.
It was.
I like my pickup, Frankie. I like my pickup though. At 28.
Yeah, bro. Drew Gilbert is a really good pickup for Houston.
Bro, at 28, Frankie, at 28, I was kind of like, man, we're probably going to get some bottom feeder mother. I thought we're probably going to get and then Drew Gilbert was there. I was like, oh, hell. For 28th position? Y'all take that. But it really surprised me that Drew Jones didn't go 1 and they took Holiday at 1. I still feel like that Drew Jones was a better prospect at number 1. I'm really surprised. And the fact that Kumar Rocker went 3, I get what the Rangers are trying to do. They're trying to line him up with lighter and keep that that tradition there. But damn, I really thought Kumar might go a little lower.
What do you think, stat guy? I knew you wanted to talk about Rucker.
So Kumar Rocker to me was the one that stood out the most, mainly because the Mets took him last year at number 10, couldn't sign a contract with him because he was injured. So he ends up going into the independent league this year and was looking better than what he looked as a senior at Vanderbilt. Now he gets drafted to Texas, who drafted Jack Leiter last year, his counterpart at Vanderbilt when they won the College World Series. So now not only did they just win the College World Series at Vanderbilt, but now you have them positioned to be number 1 and number 2 in that starting rotation in 3 years.
Yeah? Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's what I said. I get why the Rangers did it because of that connection. I mean, it makes sense. I was just really surprised they went that way, but yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, the Reds went for hitting. That's what they did with their 4 guys they got yesterday was hitting. Got two more third basemen, a catcher and an outfielder, but all the guys are known more for their hitting abilities than what they are their defense.
Right. Yeah, Astros went, I think, 2 outfielders and a pitcher.
How about you, Jonathan? What did you think about the draft?
Well, Drew Jones to me was a good pick for the Diamondbacks. I like Rocker. I think he's going to be a great pitcher. I think the Texas Rangers are building their pitching staff up. They've done a tremendous job so far, and they definitely have a bright future with him. Jackson Holliday, yeah, he is the son of Matt Holliday. This was the first time we've seen this since Ken Griffey Jr. Got drafted. This kid has a lot of potential to be great. A lot of people felt, believe it or not, that he was the most complete player in this year's draft. I feel like Johnson, to me, is the most complete player in this year's draft. This kid can flat out hit. They're calling him the best hitter in this year's draft. So I like him going to Pittsburgh. The kid seems to have his head on straight. He's very confident in himself, obviously. I like that pick for the Pirates. So, it was interesting actually, because this was my first time actually really watching the MLB draft. I watch the NFL draft, NBA draft every year, and I was just amazed by it all and the setup and everything. I had never seen the MLB draft like the one I saw yesterday.
But did you think that Baltimore missed the mark on not drafting Jones?
Yes, I do.
The Diamondbacks it kind of reminds me of draft day. Oh,
yeah.
Please let that Carson screw this up. And they did. Yeah. I think the Diamondbacks are like, oh, hell yeah.
I think they were better off going with either Jones or Johnson.
There's a reason why they didn't go with Jones. Who's their center fielder right now? They have Austin Hayes and Cedric Mullins. Two actually relatively decent center fielders that are going to block Jones from playing center field. Granted, Jones is supposed to be a Gold Glove caliber outfielder, but Baltimore does not have a good shortstop in the system. They just don't. And that's the one position they needed to go after.
Didn't they say that he could play shortstop if he had to at the pro level?
Who?
I believe it was him. If I'm thinking correctly, I had it in my notes, but I believe I think Baltimore wasn't that one of the things about him is that he could play outfield or shortstop?
Maybe, but there's a reason why. That's why Baltimore was so heavy on Carlos Correa this offseason too, because they need a shortstop. And now that they're starting to get competitive again, now they're like, okay, well, if we need a shortstop, let's draft a shortstop of the future right now. Granted, he might be 4 or 5 years away, but then we can kind of just plug in what we need to plug in until they're ready. Because then you're going to have Austin Hayes will be on a long-term deal by then. You're going to have Cedric Mullins on a long-term contract by then, most likely.
Because I know the knock on Jackson was they were saying that he may not stick at shortstop. They may have to put him at second, which is interesting.
Why is that? They not trust his arm at shortstop? Or?
They didn't give a specific reason as to why when I was reading in the blog, but they were saying that he possibly they didn't think that he would stick at shortstop.
What's going on, Rob? I know you don't watch a whole lot of baseball, but how you doing this afternoon?
I'm all good. How y'all feeling? I didn't want to interrupt. Y'all had good baseball talk going on.
But we are seeing in baseball.
Hope you guys enjoyed the draft.
The thing with Holiday, though, this is the thing with him. He's interesting. He's only 18. If it feels like a pretty good pick because this guy can flat out hit, believe it or not. You're not only getting him for his position, you're getting him for what he brings at the plate as well. So I guess the Orioles obviously saw that in him, the production.
That's the other reason why I kind of like the White Sox taking that Noah Schultz at number 24, that high school lefty. Mm-hmm. He's 6'9" and he's drawing Randy Johnson comparisons already.
That's crazy.
Just at 18.
Drew Jones, though, in the draft report, they had Drew Jones saying his listed position is center field, but they said that he could play shortstop at the pro level if they had to put him there. So,
if they had to put him there, he could, but he wouldn't be a Gold Glover like he would be in the outfield, and that's kind of why it's.
But let me ask you this: Can a center fielder, if you can play center field, could you not make a lateral to right or left? I mean, if you can play center, couldn't you not play those shorter areas?
Ask Mike Trout.
If they had to put him there?
Ask Mike Trout. There's a reason why Mike Trout doesn't want to move out of center field. Because some players, with the way they play, they can only play center field because that's the biggest part of the ballpark. If you play with a lot of speed, if you play with a lot of aggression and kind of do what you need to do to get to a baseball, you're not going to be good for the corner outfield spots because that wall is going to come up to you a lot quicker than it will in center field. You don't have as much room to run balls down. You don't have as much room to operate and do what you need to do to make a play.
And you get a lot more slicing balls there in left field and right field than what you do out in center.
Yeah, I got a real question.
You get those balls that take the funny turns on you.
I have a real question. It's real, honestly. Like, has anybody seen Pride lately?
I knew he. I did.
Pride is hiding from me, everyone. If you guys can find him, please let me know. Everyone out there that is watching, please report back to his daddy, aka me. I right now I own him, and he's right now hiding from me. I don't know if he ran away. I don't know. I might have to send out an Amber Alert. We have to put pictures in the back of carton milks and stuff like that. But Pride is missing, and I miss my boy. I need him to come home.
The other team that I think made a killing in the draft was the New York Mets, who picked 11th and 14th.
Yeah.
At 11, they got arguably the best catcher in the draft, in that Kevin Parada, with the Mets already having one of the better minor league catchers in their system already. That makes their catcher that they have in the system right now a legitimate trade bait for them to make a big move, because they can part ways from him, and now they'll have Kevin Parada stashed to back him up. And then they also drafted a good shortstop, that Jet Williams, who's a high schooler who's going to be quite a few years away, but he's a guy that can move to second base, and that's one of the positions of need that the Mets are going to need later in line.
Nobody cares about the Mets, that guy. Nobody cares about them. When you mention the Mets, that's like mentioning the Jets in football.
But no, also
Like nobody care about the San Francisco Giants either.
See,
also with baseball in the draft, you don't always see the best player get drafted at like the position you think they're going to be, because teams in baseball have to go a lot more by what their needs are, and they have to look through their major league team and, like Dustin said, your minor league system, because you don't want to draft a player just because he's good if you're already solid at them positions. So that makes a big difference, where you don't see that, I don't think, as much in the other drafts as you do in baseball. But we're starting to see a lot of the older baseball players' sons start to get in the league. Who's the best father and son duo in pro sports?
Father-son duos?
Yeah.
That have played or are playing.
Yeah, that have played, just like in pro.
In any professional sport?
Yeah.
You got to put the Mannings and the Griffeys up there.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
hell no, the Mannings. What? Archie Manning was ass.
The Currys.
Frankie.
Archie Manning was ass. At the time Archie Manning. No, at the time Archie Manning was playing with the Saints, they were called the Aints. Stop that shit, Jay.
And their fans were putting paper bags over their heads.
Exactly. Stop that shit, Jay. You over there trying to love the old people. The hell with that. Archie Manning was trash.
You have to put the Griffeys up there at least.
Yeah.
Because the Griffeys are probably one of the best, if not the best, father-son duo in Major League Baseball history.
Griffeys, definitely. Steph and Del Curry.
You could probably eventually, I'm not saying this now, but eventually, maybe 15 years down the road, you have to look at Vladimir Guerrero and his kid.
Yep.
Depending on what Vlad Guerrero Jr. does for the rest of his career.
Speaking of, I like how Vlad Guerrero came out in the Celebrity All-Star game. Him and Big Papi, they just showed up out of nowhere. I was surprised. It was real funny. It was real funny because once Big Papi came out to bat for Bad Bunny, the pitcher for the Brooklyn Dodgers, he looked at CC Sabathia, and they were about to have a CC Sabathia versus the Big Papi moment, and Big Papi was like, "Nah, I'm not having. I don't want CC up over here."
What about you have Felipe and Moises Alou.
Yep.
Bob Brett and Aaron Boone.
All the Boones were amazing.
You have Al Unser and Al Unser Jr., Mario and Michael Andretti.
Thompson.
Dale Earnhardt and Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yep, Earnhardt, yep.
The Thompsons, Clay and his dad.
You got the Cruises, Frankie and his son Pride.
Kellen Winslow and Kellen Winslow Jr.
Bobby Buns and Barry Buns.
You can throw them in there. I don't know how good of a player Bobby Bonds was, though.
Yeah, he wasn't as good as his son.
Well, he went on points.
All right, let's talk a little bit of football. On Friday, we kind of gave our predictions for the NFC divisions. I figured today we'll do the AFC. We'll start with Rob. We'll start in the AFC. Let's do AFC North first, but we'll start with Rob since he's been sitting here listening to our baseball talk. Let him kick off the football.
He needs to start loving baseball.
Hey, Bobby Bonds had 336 home runs. He was a good player. He wasn't bad.
Hey, Frankie. Based on popular consensus, I don't have to learn baseball.
You need to start watching some baseball. You think the fans?
I'm all right.
Rob, you live in one of the sports capitals of the world that has 2 baseball teams. You need to start watching baseball.
Be a Dodger fan.
Frankie. Hey, no, Frankie.
That's why I got you guys. I'll let you guys watch baseball.
Let me translate. Hey, Frankie, what Rob really just said was because your lack of knowledge in baseball means he really doesn't have to study. So, good shot, Rob. Where catapult over stat?
Hold on. My lack of knowledge in baseball, but yet you're about to argue with me that Archie Manning was a shit.
I didn't say Archie Manning was a shit. I said he was a good
You were
football
about no. You were about to argue with me over Archie
I
Manning.
didn't throw shade on you. That was Rob. So why are you coming after me, people?
Because you want to be his translator, acting like I didn't know what he was trying to say.
Hello?
You don't need to translate. I know what he's saying. You shut your Houston mouth up.
Well, don't worry. We'll shut you up on the 21st like we did on the other 3 games that we beat you. So It's not it's yes, sir. That's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
So
we don't do military shit over here in the real US of A. We don't say sir to you, sir. Even though I just called you sir.
3 and 3.
Oh, look, I'm gonna try to be alive.
Jay's just really upset,
So,
and we're not gonna mention why.
So, Chris, you saying you want AFC predictions before we were so in? I didn't interrupt nobody doing baseball conversation, okay?
I know Jay's got to be a fucking asshole and be like, hey, let me translate for Rob here because Frankie probably don't know what he's trying to say. I know what he was meaning, Jay. Don't be interrupting me and Rob.
He looked to his left and looked at your screen and said, based on this, I don't have to learn that much. So he was directly saying that Frankie doesn't know a lot about baseball. I didn't make it up. He looked to the left and said it, Frankie. Don't get mad at me.
I don't know much about baseball, but Jay over there crying that certain players don't go to All-Stars. But now he's happy.
The white guy in the middle translating for the black guy to the Hispanic guy. That's all I know. That's all I know.
Okay.
First of all, a white guy shouldn't be translating a black guy's conversation to a Hispanic guy. Black people and Hispanics know how to conversate. All right, so you stick to your lane, sir.
Oh my goodness.
Oh Lord Jesus, this is went all the way left. Hey guys. We have black guys, we have white guys, we have Hispanic guys. We're just all guys.
I'm
just the Oreo in the middle here between Rob and Frankie.
It's just a Hispanic guy. We don't have Hispanic guys in here. I'm just the one
crazy.
Hispanic guy.
That's crazy. Dustin called himself the Oreo because my fiance calls me an Oreo.
Hey, but question. If you're from Puerto Rico, do you prefer Hispanic or do you prefer Latino?
Hispanic.
Okay, I've always been confused on that, but okay, good job.
I think it's both ways because I knew this guy didn't like the word Hispanic. He said it
right, Frankie. I did.
I like Hispanic is fine with me.
Frankie, Latinos
is more like Mexican, Colombian type.
Yeah, that's the word I use. Hispanic. But I always say Hispanic. I never say Mexican, Puerto Rican because I don't know their descent. So
yeah, that'd be type disrespectful. You call a Mexican like a
right.
Cuban or somebody Mexican.
Oh, my fiance, she gets mad. She gets mad. When
Hey, you say that you call a Puerto Rican a Mexican, you're starting wars.
Yeah.
Like, wars about to happen.
Yeah.
I just laugh because you just make yourself look dumb because like you clearly don't know shit. It's like
and with Asians, too, if you call a Chinese person a Japanese, oh my goodness.
Oh no, I just call them all Chinese. I don't care.
No, I know. I call them. I say because I don't know unless you could kind of tell the difference by the last name though.
They'd be like, "No, I'm from South Korea." Okay, you're Chinese, bro. I don't care.
No, I agree with you, Jonathan. Hispanic's a good way to go because you don't know if people are
right
what descent. Like I'm Hispanic as well, but you know what I mean. You don't know. Some people are Puerto Rican, some people are more Mexican, some people are this.
Right. And see, here in California, the ignorance, with people's ignorance, they automatically assume that everyone here is Mexican. And that's not always the truth. Some people are not Mexican; they're Costa Ricans. They're
Yo,
South,
can I? Can I shut this Make-A-Wish kid up real quick? Mikey Delaney, I am so tired of this Make-A-Wish kid. You're so hyped because your team won 14 games, like Jay said, against sub 500 teams. Don't get too excited. The second half of the season is where mostly every team gets like on point. So when the second half of the season come and you guys actually face a good team and go on another winning streak, then you can probably say something. Until then, stay on your lane. Keep trying to make wishes. Hopefully they'll get granted. I doubt they will because you're an ugly fuck. And just, enjoy watching them. Thank you. All right, continue on with the conversation. What were you saying, Jonathan?
I was just saying how some people are so ignorant that they automatically assume that just because we're in California that everyone here is Mexican.
Yeah.
I think because you guys are in California, everybody.
If you live in Houston, that they got the biggest makeup of different ethnicities you'll ever see in your life. I mean, you got Guatemalans, El Salvadorians, you got freaking Nicaraguans, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans. I mean, you walk in the wrong spot of Houston, you say the wrong thing, they're screwed.
When I think of LA,
we're still talking about race.
No, we're not talking about race. We're talking about.
I think it meant one time I went into a Puerto Rican restaurant and I asked for a tortilla because I love tortillas. I love tortillas, which I don't understand why the Puerto Rican community can't adapt and bring over the tortilla.
Oh my god!
Because we don't have tortillas, you dumbass.
It goes well with the plantains and it goes well with the other beef products. I'm just saying, we do that, please.
You don't get tortillas. This isn't La Fiesta. You get patelillos, empanadas. What is wrong with you going to a Puerto Rican and asking for tortillas?
Empanadas are so good.
Go to the supermarket and get a frozen.
Hey, Frankie. Hey, Frankie, y'all got this spot in New York called Empanada Mama. That's some spot.
Yeah, boy. My boy Rob knows. He knows the deal.
Hey, Frankie, what's the best pizza joint in New York?
Oh my God, it's so hard to choose. Like, there's like so many. Honestly, I don't even. The
best joints are the ones that have Mexican, Puerto Rican, and Dominican. Oh, no, Mexican, Puerto Rican, and Cuban. They have 3 different nationalities in one restaurant. I swear to God, dude, it's like mix and match combination of shit. I can get the tortilla and the empanada and the freaking plantains all at the same restaurant. It's beautiful.
Saturday,
and your toilet will be asking for help at the end of the night.
Saturday we stopped at an Indian food restaurant on our way to this wrestling show. And dude, I had the best chicken dish I've ever had in my life. Tandoori chicken.
I bet you had the best shit after too.
Oh, that shit was spicy. It was good.
Hey, I'll tell you one thing I learned. Never go to a Thai restaurant and tell them you want it Thai spicy. I'm just going to put that out there because if you say Thai spicy, your whole inside of your mouth is going to be obliterated. And then you're going to have them in the kitchen looking at you saying, look at this white boy. He wanted Thai spicy and his freaking eyes are popping out. And they're laughing at you. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's happened to me, but it probably has happened to me. I'm just saying. And matter of fact, I think my wife said, I think that lady called you a pussy.
It wasn't the lady. It was your. It wasn't the
I
lady.
never order Thai spicy. I stay away from Thai spicy with every ounce of my body.
It wasn't the lady. It wasn't the lady that was calling you a pussy. It was your wife actually calling you a pussy.
Probably. Hey, listen, man. Hey, seriously, it's okay. I'm good with that. It's all good.
All right, Jay. Let's go. I'll start with you. We'll start doing some NFL predictions. We'll start in AFC North.
Yes.
What you got, Jay?
Hold on, man. I had that written down. Let me pull it up too. Hey, go to Jonathan. I'll come back to me on that one.
All right, Jonathan.
Who I'm going with in the AFC North?
Yeah, AFC North.
You really got to think.
Cincinnati Bengals.
I was about to say, you really got to think on that division.
Nah, I was just.
I didn't think about it. I just forgot what teams were in the damn AFC.
Look, the Cincinnati Bengals, they got a taste of the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow is a damn good quarterback. He has really improved tremendously, led his team to the Super Bowl. You got a dynamic wide receiver quarterback combo with Burrow and Jamar Chase, who I think is an absolute stud at the wide receiver position. It's definitely the Bengals dominating that division for sure. Of course, you got the Steelers. No one really knows what their season is going to look like. At least I don't know. You got the Browns. It's a totally different team now because, of course, Baker Mayfield is not there anymore. So it's just a different division now. So I still think the Bengals are going to hold it down. The Bengals are definitely the best team in the AFC North.
Yeah. Hey,
the Ravens might challenge them a bit if Lamar Jackson is able to finally look like a quarterback for once, but I just don't see it.
No. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, if Deshaun Watson was playing, I will be honest with you. I know y'all think this, but I think the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals go head-to-head for that division. And I think it could be close because when you put a Deshaun Watson in there with a Cooper, a Nick Chubb, they got a great defense with Myles Garrett and Davidian Clowney and so forth. That could be really nasty. But since Deshaun Watson is not playing right now, we don't know how long he's going to be out for. They're going to turn it over to Brissett. Automatically puts the Bengals at 1. And I know I am not a believer at all in the Ravens. I wasn't in the Ravens last year when they came in second to last either. And again, Brissett might not be Deshaun. He may not be Baker, but he can sort of still make the throws to Njoku and Cooper and Peoples-Jones, and he can still hand the ball off to Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and still have that defense do what they do. And I think the Ravens still come in third.
What about you, Rob?
I'm going to surprise you guys. I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson, he's mad about this contract dispute. With him representing himself, he's probably heard some things that he didn't want to hear from the Ravens organization. Not having that buffer of an agent to be there. What was that?
I said, are you referring to what Bernard Pollard said about Jackson?
Yeah. But
that was epic. I loved it.
But I really think that Lamar has a bounce back year. I think he's gonna get a little bit of that MVP type year that he had. He's gonna come out with a great performance, and I have faith that the Baltimore Ravens will win the AFC North.
What about you, stat guy? Who you like in this division?
I think it's obviously Cincinnati's division to lose, especially when you look at what they did this offseason, addressing the major need that they needed to address, which is offensive line, which is pretty much where they spent all of their resources this offseason. If Deshaun Watson was playing, I would pick Cleveland to finish number 2, but because he's not playing, I'm picking Cleveland to finish 4th. I'm going to pick Pittsburgh to finish 2nd just because I think Mitchell Trubisky is going to have a good year with Mike Tomlin this year.
What, Frankie?
Yeah, This division is all a mess right now. Obviously Cincinnati's going to win this division. Like that guy said, they upgraded real good at the offensive line, which is what was a major impact for Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals for the past couple of years. So now with the new offensive line, and I think it's going to be better, Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals are going to win the AFC North. And follow that up with the Baltimore Ravens. I do think the Baltimore Ravens still have enough energy, not just in Lamar Jackson, but also in that defense, because we're also forgetting that the head coach and Jim Harbaugh is a defensive-minded coach as well. So I feel like that defense is going to help them out in winning the second spot. Between third and fourth, it's a real confusion. I honestly, I think the Cleveland Browns are going to finish third spot. I have a lot of respect for Jacoby Brissett. And if Jacoby does play the whole year, I think that he'll end up, having a not a winning season, but an even season. Maybe not 8-8, or maybe 8-8 or something like that. The Steelers are just they're done. The Steelers are going to end up in last place. They just need to. I feel like they still need to rebuild more. Chase Claypool, I don't feel like he's that wide receiver that we thought he was really going to be. And with the Steelers not having Ben Roethlisberger at the helm, it's just going to be a tough challenge for Mike Tomlin. So we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with basically what you just said, Frank. I have it the same: Bengals at first, Baltimore second, Cleveland third, Pittsburgh last. The reason I can see Cleveland being at second, depending on how many games Deshaun Watson misses. If he only misses like 4 games, and they can maybe go 2-2 while he's out, he come back. Cleveland could be right up there battling for the division. But I think the Bengals had a good offseason. They upgraded their offensive line, so I think the Bengals definitely have to be the favorite. Let's do the AFC East, and we'll let Frankie start that out since his favorite team's in the East. What in the hell?
Hey Jay, we don't want to just see you, bro.
I'm sorry. Hey, I thought it was only affecting my screen, but apparently I affected everybody's screen. I apologize. I was trying to get Gonzo off my avatar, so maybe they get it confused, but apparently I hit the wrong button. My bad.
For the AFC East, I think Buffalo is going to obviously win that division again. As tough as it is for me to say it, just Josh Allen. I like Josh Allen and what he does. I think that the Buffalo Bills are going to win that division, followed up by my boys, the Patriots. I think Mac Jones is going to be better this year, losing weight, gaining muscle, throwing more effectively this year during the offseason, and having an addition of Devontae Parker. I feel like him and Devontae are going to have a good connection. And I never sleep on Bill Belichick with the defense. We might have missed a couple of players for free agency and stuff, but Bill Belichick know what he's doing. If he wanted to re-sign players, he would have re-signed them. If he's going to let them go, he always lets them go because he knows that the backups are future potential at their spot. Follow that, the Miami Dolphins are going to be in third place. Jay, me and Jay had this conversation since the draft, actually since the end of last season. Jay thinks that the Miami Dolphins improved a little bit more just basing on Tua Tagovailoa, and I agree with him. They can end up being in second place in the AFC East. It just, to me, it's like what Jay says, based on Tua Tagovailoa and how he's actually going to play with Tyreek Hill this year. And also they have a new head coach. We forgot that they lost Brian Flores, and now they have a new head coach, and we have to see what this new head coach is going to bring to the Miami Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa. And follow that is the Jets at last place, just because we all know what the Jets are. It doesn't matter how many star caliber players they can have. The Jets always waste talents, just like the Detroit Lions.
Okay. Stat guy, what do you think about the AFCs?
The way things sit right now, I think Buffalo is the most complete team in the NFL right now, and I have them representing the AFC in the Super Bowl this year, just because I think they learned a lot from how they lost to Kansas City in the playoffs last year, and I think they're going to kind of use that as motivation for this season on their part. New England's going to be better. Mac Jones in his second season with Bill Belichick and adding Devontae Parker to that offense, New England's going to be better. And I actually have the Jets finishing ahead of the Dolphins, mainly because I think the Dolphins are a dumpster fire. I don't think Tua finishes the season as a starting quarterback. I think Teddy Bridgewater takes over the middle of the season.
Dustin, nah,
Oh,
bring
that's
him back.
bullshit.
Bring him back. No,
Hey,
bring him back.
that's just wrong. Let him make his
Bring
let him
him
make
back.
his point, man. Let him make his opinion.
That guy knows I'm playing with him. You lost me a dumpster fire, but go ahead.
They are a dumpster fire because of what they did to Brian Flores.
Okay, but say that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because of what they did to Brian Flores, there's a dumpster fire. Brian Flores never wanted Tua there to begin with. There's a reason why Brian Flores never wanted Tua there, because he was never sold on Tua Tagovailoa. That's why he's not there. And now you bring in a new head coach with zero head coaching experience, and you have Tua Tagovailoa and Teddy Bridgewater as your quarterbacks. Tua hasn't done much of anything to prove that he's an NFL-ready quarterback yet. What we've seen out of Teddy Bridgewater is he's a game manager that's going to win you games. If Miami gets off to a 2-4 start, Tua is going to be benched in favor of Teddy Bridgewater. Mike Gesicki is going to get traded at some point this year because they had to franchise tag him because they couldn't reach a long-term extension.
You just mean
And you lose Devontae Parker and replace him with Tyreek Hill, who thinks he's going to be able to put up the same numbers with Tua as he did with Patrick Mahomes.
Ooh, my nipples are 15 times more hard for what you just said, Guy. I love you. I love you even more, bro. Oh my
Get
god.
off his junk, get off his junk, Frankie. Damn, don't write
Oh
that.
no, I'm hopping on that junk and I'm gonna wave that. I'm gonna ride on that junk. I don't care. I don't give a damn. What he just said was the most impressive thing he can ever say.
What do you think about the AFC East, Jonathan?
You know, the Buffalo Bills, man, they make this NFL prediction in the AFC East pretty easy. I mean, you know, they're the trendy pick. They should win it. They should, you know, coast along with the division crown. To me, I'm with that guy. They are the most complete team in the NFL, and I also have them coming out of the AFC this year as well. And I have them winning the Super Bowl. Josh Allen is a great quarterback. He has gotten better. He has proven that he's an absolute stud. You know, he has elevated everyone around him, particularly on that offense. They have a good defense. The defense just had a meltdown against Kansas City in, you know, the playoffs a year ago. But I think they have the talent. They definitely have great coaching. They should come out on top. And then, of course, you got the Dolphins, who's got a new coach now. They got a new system put into place. So there's no more excuses for Tua. This is a make or break year. And if he doesn't perform well, Dustin doesn't believe in him, hey, he will get benched and Teddy Bridgewater will take over. But there's no more excuses. He has all the offensive weapons at his disposal. And if he can't do it this year, then this is it for Tua. Then I like New England. I like New England to finish second. I think you got Bill Belichick over there still as the head coach. Your quarterback's going to be better now. Mac Jones, he's in his second year. And don't sleep on the Jets. I mean, I still think the Jets finish at the bottom, but don't sleep on them. It's up to Zach Wilson now because, look, he got a better offensive line. So, I mean, it's really up to him to show us who he really is. And we will definitely have a better identity on him this season. But Buffalo is coming out on top.
We need to make a grid, right? Like how ESPN do it, because we're making some great, way too early Super Bowl predictions. I feel like we need to start making a grid with all our names and with the Super Bowl predictions for the way too early, like ESPN does it, but a little bit better here at ASAP.
I think when it comes to the AFC East, obviously, I mean, it's a clear cut, just like the Bengals are a clear cut in their division. The Bills are a clear cut in their division.
It ain't clear cut, Jay. It's not clear cut with the Bengals.
No, they're clear cut. If you don't think the Bills are clear cut in that division, then you obviously are watching football. I'm sorry.
Can we just honestly admit that they made it to the Super Bowl by the grace of God? Their offensive line sucked. Let's not say clear cut. Come on now.
And they addressed that need to make the offensive line better.
Exactly. Like You're
Let's
saying
not
it's by the
let's not
grace of
let's
God,
not
made it
let's
to
not
the-
forget let's not forget
Rob,
what Lamar Jackson has done.
Rob,
So
Rob,
now they got the offensive line and the grace of God.
Rob, they made it to the
Let's
Super
not
Bowl
let's
last
not
year with
let's
the
not let's not
31st
forget what
ranked
Lamar
offensive
Jackson
line.
has done.
Wait, shut the fuck up. Damn it, it's my turn. You had your turn. Shut the fuck up.
Yo, he's got yo.
Listen, sometimes you just gotta listen, damn it.
You don't
have to
talk
like
to
my opinion. You
Jay,
can take
you
it
don't-
up, just wipe it with your ass and throw the toilet. I don't care.
Jay. You don't talk. Jay, you need to learn rule number 1. You don't talk to a black man from Chicago like that. He will come find you.
Listen, I don't give a damn what color he is. My happy white ass lived in Southeast DC for 2 years as the only white person, so I don't give a damn what color Rob is. I love Rob. Don't get it twisted. Rob's my boy. But,
Okay.
and I don't think Rob gives a damn about what color I am. Because we're people, damn it. So shut up, Frankie.
Hey,
Stop trying
hey,
to stir
hey!
up
I think Jay has started happy hour 2 hours too early.
Nah, it's only twisted tea, 3.5. This ain't nothing. It's like drinking tap water with a little bit of. Now, if you catch me at the home run derby, I might upgrade to the jacket. It's probably gonna be a whole. Matter of fact, usually when I upgrade to Jack, I pretty much turn off all social media and everything that I can communicate on. I hide it until the next day I when it's up. But needless to say that, and Rob, you know I love your ass. You know I love you.
I love you too, Jay.
I love you too.
By all means, continue, my good sir.
Thank you. So, no, hey, look, they're the clear-cut favorites. They actually added Von Miller to the group on defense and actually improved them a lot in the linebacker spot. But honestly, I mean, the only thing I think they could take the Bills out would be injuries. If they can stay injury-free, they're good because they have learned a lot. Like you said, Rob, they did not get past but the last possession of the Chiefs, and I give you that. But I think that was a learning experience for those guys. I think they improve upon that, and that's why I put them. Like that guy said, I got them in the Super Bowl. I don't think I think the Chiefs might, maybe, Bengals maybe, but I think the Bills are going to be wound up in that Super Bowl. For me, the real question of that division, though, isn't the Bills. It's really where we put like you said, like Frankie was saying, where you put the Patriots, where you put the Dolphins. But I'm going to say that before I get that, the last spot at the Jets, they had a great draft. And that organization is really starting to find their way, and I think they're going to get better as the years go along because I think that Jets organization, finally under Salah and other things, have a clear direction of where they want this team to go. And once you have a clear direction, then it's just a matter of putting the pieces that fit that direction, and I think the Jets are doing that. Is it going to take them a little bit more time? Yes, of course. But, again, they had the right direction, and Wilson still needs to continue to develop his game as well. But they have a direction, and that was really what was hurting them for a very long time after Rex Ryan left. They just lost that direction. So good job on the Jets, getting back on track, and I like to see where they go from here. When it comes to the Dolphins and the Patriots have the slight edge right now because we know where Mac Jones is as a quarterback, but we still have a question as to where Tua is going to be. And I'm telling you, like you said, if Tua comes out, they are a dumpster fire in a sense of the way that they dealt with the Brian Flores situation. We all know that. But you can also say New York Giants are a dumpster fire for the way they handled Brian Flores and that whole process when you knew Dable was your coach. Not that Dable was a bad coach. I think Dable was a good choice for them. But the way you handled the Flores situation, trying to bring him into the fact to fit the Rooney Rule is complete and total bullshit, and you know it. But as I regress, going back to the Dolphins, they have an incomplete team. They really do. They're a good team. It's just the quarterback is the only thing that they really have a question mark. And if that question mark can get answered in the training camp going into the season, I think that the Dolphins would come in at number 2. And then I think Patriots fill in at number 3 and Jets come in at number 4.
All right, Robert, what about you in the AFC East?
First, let me get my rebuttal on. I was not saying that the Bills was not a clear-cut favorite. I think the Bills, I agree with you guys. I think the Bills will be in the Super Bowl. I was saying that the Bengals are not a clear-cut favorite. I think Dustin understood what I was coming from. I know that he feels.
But when you were talking to me, though,
No. I was saying I rebutted you when you said you was like the Bills are clear-cut, just like the Bengals are clear-cut. That's when I said.
No, I think the Bengals are clear-cut for that division.
I think the Ravens are. I don't think that they're clear-cut in that division because I think the Ravens will get them a fight. my rebuttal to you and Dustin would be, yeah, I understand what the Bills did without our offensive line. But you got to remember that the Ravens lost everybody last year. They were 7-4 and was looking good to be in the playoffs until Lamar Jackson went down. So let's not act like Lamar Jackson, even though he's not the greatest thrower of the football, let's not act like he's not a great playmaker and he doesn't do amazing things at the quarterback position. That's all I'm saying. You can't never count the Ravens out. Look what they did. They lost all three of their running backs. They lost receivers, and they still was 7-4 until he went down. That's all I'm saying. So I just not going to.
The knock on Jamar Jackson though is that he can't make the throws.
I get that, but he can make plays. He might not be able to make the throws that we see from a typical quarterback, but he's still a playmaker and he makes things happen at that position. And then, so as far as the AFC East goes, I'm gonna agree. I think Buffalo is your clear favorite. I think everybody thinks that Buffalo is going to be in the Super Bowl. I think we all see Josh Allen being the best quarterback in football right now.
I don't think they're going to be in the Super Bowl.
I think everybody besides Frankie the Yankee.
I was going to say, no, honestly, I think the Chargers are going to be in the Super Bowl.
I don't know, man. I saw a lot from Buffalo last year, especially in the classic game that we saw against the Chiefs in that playoff football game. So I just think right now Buffalo is going to be clicking on all cylinders. They've gotten better every year. They've gotten further every year, and they've gotten to the point now that I think Buffalo is going to finally make it to the dance. I think also in that AFC East, Miami has the potential to be scary because of the roster that they have. We all have the question marks about Tua, but I'm going to surprise you. I think the Patriots end up second in that division. I just think people don't give Bill Belichick enough credit, and I know sometimes I discredit him as well, only when we're talking in results to Tom Brady. But Bill Belichick is a great coach. He's a great developer of players, and I think Mac Jones is the type of guy that he loves to have as the quarterback of that team. And I think as long as you get him some people to throw it to, the Patriots will be A-okay. I don't really care about Miami or the Jets in that division. I just think Tua hasn't shown me enough to have faith in him. So right now, AFC East, I'm riding with Buffalo to be the champion of that division.
Yeah, I agree. I have Buffalo as first. I have the Patriots.
My Jews.
Have the Jets at third. I have Miami at fourth. I agree with Stat Guy. I don't think Miami's going to be that good this year. I'm not sold on Tua, and I don't think Tyreek Hill's a good fit with the arm that Tua has. Tyreek Hill has the speed and go deep, but then he's also used to having a quarterback that can get out of the pocket by time, and that's when Tyreek Hill got a lot of his catches too. Was when the play broke down, and Tua's not that kind of quarterback. So I'm interested to see how that works. But I have the Bills as the favorite in the AFC East. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, sexy Mike. Look at that sexy face.
Hey, man.
Look at that face, man. I just love that smile. Hey, yo, Mike, have you seen Pride?
I have not.
All right, when you see him, can you please report him to his daddy, a.k.a. me? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about the AFC East, Mike?
AFC East, I do agree with you. I think Tyreek isn't a great fit for what Tyreek was in Patrick Mahomes' Kansas City, but I think Tyreek Hill is going to be a lot more like Debo this year, and I think he's very capable of being that. I think there's going to be a lot of short passes to Tyreek, and they're just going to rely on his athleticism and his football IQ to be able to make a play. And I think you're going to see a lot of those gadget-type plays like Debo, those running-type plays like Debo, because they're a running back by committee, unless I'm mistaken. They've brought in the new running back.
Is his body going to be able to handle that, though? He's not a big guy like Debo.
Tyreek, I think you got to catch him, bro. That's the thing. I think it all depends on if you can catch him. Now, this isn't the NFC West where it's like, you're going up against guys like Aaron Donald, Bobby Wagner, and company every single night. But I definitely think, who are you playing against? You got to play the Bills twice. That's going to be tough on your body. They have a great secondary. So, like Frankie said, like Rob Scott said, obviously I'm diehard Josh Allen fan, so I got them winning it all. I think Miami and New England are going to kind of take that 2 spot. I think it's going to be a very tight race throughout the year. and it's only time is gonna tell kind of thing. But there's still guys out there like Odell Beckham Jr. that could easily walk into New England and really make some noise for that second half. And I think everybody knows who's at the bottom of the barrel. I don't even think that needs to be a conversation. But Zach Wilson bangs moms, so who knows? He could be the greatest quarterback to ever live. I'm getting a Zach Wilson jersey.
I need a Zach Wilson jersey, don't
yeah. Zach Wilson has my respect, sir. So I will respect that man.
He's the true meaning of a mother lover.
100%. Like I think he's a dog, but I don't know. I think I'm also very high on Jalen Waddle. I think Jalen Waddle is one of my favorite wide receivers in this game, and I'm really excited to see where he grows. And another one was Henry Ruggs. Him and Jalen Waddle, I thought were going to lead this league for years to come, and everything that transpired with that, I think there's a chip on his shoulder because he was Ruggs. So
we know what Henry Ruggs is going to be leading to.
Well,
he's going to be leading to the showers.
Henry Ruggs is going to be calling up Paul Crew shortly.
Definitely is, but that's very unfortunate.
Yeah, Henry Ruggs is definitely going to be having some issues in prison. That's for sure.
He's got to get his cheeseburgers from Terry Crews.
Oh, horrible people.
Let's send him some commentaries right now ahead of time. We need some packs of smokes. He's going to need some bars of soda.
Hey, Dustin, you stupid.
Hi, Jonathan.
Did you say he gonna get his cheeseburgers from Terry Crews?
Yeah.
And I'm over here cheesing.
From Cheeseburger Eddie.
That's my guy,
that was hilarious.
And that does sound good, though. An In-N-Out burger right now, or a burger from Tommy's.
I've been to In-N-Out burger.
I mean,
like
that's calling my stomach right now, man.
Personally, I'm about to. I'm glad you just said that because it's lunch. I gotta go leave before this place closes. I'm going ahead to Billy Goats, get me Italian beef, dipped hot peppers. You feel me?
Oh yeah.
Don't even get me started on food. Don't even get me started on food. I mean, we could go all day about food because I'm telling you.
I don't know. You know, Chicago is the food capital of America.
Hey, I'll tell you this: if sports wasn't in existence, I think I'd be a food critic for a living. That's honest truth right there.
All right, that's AFC West. Stat guy, you can start it off this time. Who you like in the AFC West? This is going to be a fun division to watch.
This is going to be a fun division to talk about.
I think all four teams are going to make the playoffs. I think all four teams are going to win 10 games, with the division winner getting 11. And as long as Patrick Mahomes is my quarterback, I still got to give Kansas City the slight edge. But the gap that they once had on that division is not as wide as it was. I like the Chargers to finish second. I like the Broncos third, and I like the Raiders fourth.
That's wild.
Jay, what you got in this one?
I love Jay.
Yeah, man, I just want some of that damn pizza from Chicago. Listen, when I was in Chicago, I love that pizza.
Jay's still thinking about food. He don't know what's going. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about food.
Hey, the pizza and the chili feet. Oh, Jesus, man, they have such good food there, man. Honestly, just break up a pizza just had me. But yeah, when it comes to that division, again, you got the Chiefs. I mean, they did lose Tyreek Hill, they did lose Tyrann Mathieu, but still, man, they got Patrick Mahomes, and I mean, I don't know though, man. Do they exactly? They're not gonna have a clear lock on that division. Not with the Denver Broncos upgrading at quarterback. Not with the Raiders bringing in Devontae Adams and stuff. And then you got Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense. And then they upgrade the hell out of that defense. I'm really looking for San Diego to make some big time moves. And if they don't come in
first, who's San Diego?
It's Los Angeles now.
Yeah, there's no San Diego. I don't know who that is.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on San Diego, man. Damn. I forget. Yeah, you're right. They're in L.A. L.A. Chargers, man.
Nah, don't feel bad, Jay. I still call the Raiders Oakland.
And you pronounced it wrong. It's not San Diego. It's San Diego.
The Chargers really should have stayed in San Diego, but that's another.
I guess if they just been in San Diego Chargers for so long, it's hard to get rid of that thought process. Yeah.
You guys are calling it wrong. It's San Diego. San Diego.
Hey, listen. I'll take your expertise. I sucked at Spanish, so I'll take your word for it. But yeah, no. I see Chiefs, Chargers, Denver. God, I don't know, man. I'm at a lot for Denver and the Raiders, man. I don't know, man. But I do agree. The one that I definitely agree on is what Stat Guy said. Is I think that pretty much all those teams have an ability to make the playoffs, either wild card or division winner, right?
Hell no.
Who you got, Mike?
I'll tell you what. Whoever comes out of that damn division is going to be battle tested. I'll tell you that.
Oh, 100%. For me, I got the Chiefs in last. I truly do. And I got the Chargers winning the division. I think that's the moves they made.
My boy.
The moves they made defensively. I mean, they with Joey. First of all, Khalil Mack. Thank you for everything, but to pair him up with Joey Bosa, that's just going to be unstoppable. That's a problem. And you bring in one of the best corners out of New England, who had what? Frankie, correct me if I'm wrong. He had like 8 interceptions on the year with JC. So I mean. You bring in a dominant force defensively, and nobody talks about Justin Herbert in his first year had over 4,000 yards. Last year, he had over 5,000 yards. This kid's an MVP candidate, and I think that's someone who I think could be the best player in football. And I love Josh Allen. I love Patrick Mahomes, Rodgers, all of them. But Justin Herbert, to me, can take that leap and be that guy if they have a winning record. I think number 2 to me is the Raiders. I think bringing in Devontae Adams is huge. It's all about health with them, though. I think Jacobs and Waller really need to stay healthy, and Waller's one of those guys you really got to question how he is mentally because, and it's no shot at him, but it's definitely something to where he's even spoken about how, you know, his addiction kind of messes with his game and stuff going on with him. So you really do have to take all that into account. And then everything that possibly could have went wrong with that team last year with Henry Ruggs and Gruden, but I think that's kind of like a fire to kind of ignite that going into this season, and Devontae is a big part of that. And then third, I'll put Russell Wilson because that man hasn't had a receiving core in years, hasn't had an offensive line in years, and now he finally has those things. So I think I'd put them third. And the reason I have Mahomes fourth, it's no Mahomes slander, but I think a big part of it that nobody really looks at is the key losses defensively. That team was shit all the first half of the season defensively, and they kind of put it together, but it still didn't look right. You're really looking at it for what it is, and their offensive tackle, one of the best offensive tackles in the league, he was a Pro Bowler last year, Orlando Brown. He's thinking about not even playing this season because of his contract issues with them. So if he sits out like he's saying he is, they're going to have a huge problem because they don't have running game. They lost Tyreek. Travis Kelce got a little banged up last year, so you don't really know what's going on. I love Travis. He's one of my favorite guys in the league, but he makes white guys with buzz cuts look good. But it's something to where
I mean, just amazing.
Yeah, he's honestly your wide receiver 1 and your tight end 1. This guy can do it all. But at the end of the day, I think Juju Smith-Schuster is not that guy to be able to replace Tyreek Hill, even though it's a good replacement. It's just not enough. I think in this division, there's a lot of great defensive teams, and you're going to lose. Let's say you have 6 division games. I'd say they lose 3 or 4 of those.
Well, Mike, I think Devontae Adams, going back to that Raiders real quick, I think Devontae Adams makes it easier for Waller because Waller's might have to feel like he's going to be the guy that has to carry the load receiver. I think Devontae will take some of that off of him, and I think, to your point, I think that's going to extend his health, honestly.
Yeah, I think the bigger thing with Waller is and it's no shot at him, but it's just the drug. I don't think the moment is too big for him. It's just the drug issue is the thing for him. And we've seen that time and time again. Like, I've never questioned Josh Gordon for being a football player. I don't think he's afraid of that moment. What he can't do is stop smoking weed and popping pills. Like, that's his issue. And Waller's a very similar situation. I forget what drugs he does or what he did, but he has that issue with that. So I think Devontae doesn't make a difference mentally for him. I think it's just another great addition for Derek Carr.
And I feel bad for Waller because I know that, to break a drug addiction, that's such a hard thing to do. It's incredibly difficult, man. And I pray that he's able to lick that beast because, it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, it's something. It's a different breed for sure.
What about you, Jonathan?
Man, this division is the most stacked division in football. I mean, it can go either way when you look at how all these teams look. They are well structured to win a lot of games, and all these teams will be battle tested by the time it's all said and done. That's just how good they are. But I'm going to have to give the slight edge to the Kansas City Chiefs. And I say that because not only because they have arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league, which they do, that's Patrick Mahomes, but also because of their play caller and Andy Reid. Andy Reid is a mastermind. I mean, he's one of the most creative, guys that call plays on the sideline. So, I mean, I can never go against what the Chiefs can do. And then second, man, this is where it gets tough for me because you got the Raiders and the Chargers, and both of those teams are going to be amazingly good this year. I really like the Raiders, man. I really like Derek Carr. I like the fact that he's reuniting with his old buddy, Devontae Adams. I think that is just going to be fun to watch. And then, believe it or not, the Raiders got a better defense than a lot of people are really, they got a better defense than a lot of people are really saying. A lot of people's not talking about how good that defense can be. So you got to give them a lot of credit there as well. But they look really solid on offense. And then maybe third, I would have to throw in the Chargers. The Chargers, man, we all know how great of a pass rusher they have with Joey Bosa. We all know how Justin Herbert has really worked his way into this league, has really, made a name for himself early in his career, and he looks like an absolute stud. So the Chargers are going to be good as well. And then, of course, you got the Denver Broncos. People forget they got Russell Wilson now. And the argument a year ago was that they didn't have a quarterback. That was the knock against them. They had everything else. They had the defense. They had the offensive weapons. They had a pretty strong running game. So they even gotten better. So, I mean, this division is really up for grabs. And we don't really know how it's going to go. And all it takes is for a few players to get injured, and that would change the whole dynamic of that entire division. So it's going to be a hard-fought, tough battle for all these teams, but I still give the slight advantage to the Kansas City Chiefs.
No, you said it right. The Kansas City Chiefs. You're right.
What you got, Rob?
I know at first I said the Chargers.
Rob Scott, don't do it.
I'm going to surprise everybody. I think the Las Vegas Raiders are going to win that division.
All right, that's fine.
I think Devontae Adams is going to hide a lot of efficiencies that Derek Carr has. I think the fact that they have a previous relationship, being former teammates in college. And we saw what Devontae Adams did for Aaron Rodgers. And we still remember they still have Hunter Renfrow over there as well in Las Vegas. I think now Derek Carr has a wide receiver core that is going to be dealt with in the NFL. And a lot of teams, they're going to give a lot of defenses trouble. And I just think adding a dynamic player like Devontae to that roster gives Las Vegas a slight edge. I mean, they squeaked into the playoffs last year. If they squeaked in last year with the whole Gruden problems that they had, and I think one of their receivers, with the whole drunk driving situation. So, if they went through all of those distractions last year, think of what they're gonna do now. Clear head, clear table. You got Josh McDaniels taking the helm. We know what the knowledge he's learned from Bill Belichick. I just think that the Raiders might be ready to get the black and gray back into prominence in that AFC West. I'm going with the Las Vegas Raiders, and then I'm going Chargers, Broncos, Chiefs. That's my order.
Hey, I got a question because I think also with Josh McDaniels in his first go around, he had a .393 winning percentage, which was very low. I think he was right at about 11-17 on his record. That was the first step with the Denver Broncos out from underneath Bill Belichick. Then he goes back with Bill Belichick. He gets, I guess, more to. How do we look at his second stint coming out of Bill Belichick with the Raiders? And again, he has a good roster with the Raiders. So how do you expect that to play out? Yeah, yes. Yes.
I think he was forced to start Tim Tebow when he was in Denver. Honestly,
I am Tim Tebow.
I don't think Josh McDaniels wanted to start Tim Tebow. I just think he was forced to start him, knowing that he was a first-round pick, and I think that's part of the reason why Tebow was in there as quick as he was, and I think that's a big reason why McDaniels struggled, because Tebow couldn't run the offense that McDaniels wanted to run.
I want to see Frank.
But the problem was Denver's like, you are going to start Tim Tebow because he was our first-round pick.
But what you think of a good head coach is, okay, if you're being forced to play this player, then you have to formulate your offense around that guy. So why wasn't he able to formulate better around Tim Tebow? Or was Tim Tebow just garbage all the way?
Because you got to remember, Denver signed Josh McDaniels before they drafted Tim Tebow. So Josh McDaniels was already putting this offensive plan together for 3-4 months, and all of a sudden the NFL draft comes and they draft Tim Tebow. Now what's he supposed to do? He already has his plan in place with his coaching staff. He already has his plan in place with all the players that are already on the roster, and now Tebow shows up, and it's like, oh, now what?
Right. And I agree, because look, a lot of head coaches have a hard time their first time. I mean, you know that what's his name? Pete Carroll had a hard time with the Patriots, and then he goes to Seattle, after going back to the college realm, and then of course those Super Bowls. So yeah, I'm curious to see how McDaniels. I mean, it's a good situation he's coming into with the Raiders. I mean, he's got the personnel, he's got the players. I mean, he's really successful.
Who you got?
He has made an appearance.
Who you got, Frankie?
Robert Scott.
Okay, Mike always brings the sexy out of me. For that division, I'm gonna go with the Chargers, just because honestly, I think the Chargers, their offense is never. It didn't get worse; it got a little bit better. They didn't need to change that offense very much. It was the defense that they got very much better. I think the defense is going to step up really well for the Chargers, which is why I think the Chargers are going to represent my AFC Super Bowl prediction.
Just make sure Brandon Staley doesn't make the analytic decisions this year.
Followed by that, I'm gonna go with the Raiders at number 2. I think the Raiders are gonna take that division just because this Josh McDaniels has a second shot, but this time around he learned a little bit longer and a little bit more from Bill Belichick than what he did the first time around. When he was with Bill Belichick the first time around, he was only with him for about 4 years before taking that head coaching job with Denver. Compared to now, he's been with his second stunt. He was with us for about 10 years, learning and developing, and now I think he's going to step up great for the Raiders. Plus, he has a mix of some Patriot players that used to play for him, so it works out well for him on that side. I think they're going to come out number 2, followed up by the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to come in 3rd. This will be the year that the Chiefs don't make the playoffs. I'm going to say it right now. I don't think the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs this year. Followed up with the Denver Broncos. I think the Denver Broncos are going to end up in last place, and not just because of how they look or whatever, just because this division is just so tough for them. And I think Russell Wilson's going to have an outstanding year with the Denver Broncos. It's just this division is just too stacked. They're definitely going to have a winning record, but they're just not going to make the playoffs, and they're just going to be in the bottom just because this division is too much for them.
Do you think Russ can even stay healthy in this division?
I hope so. I honestly do.
I don't think he can. I don't know. That's just me. I think that the defenses he has to go through outside of Kansas City are pretty nasty. I think he's going to get a little nicked up before the end of the season.
That's true. That is true. That's
true.
true.
Yeah, I agree with what that guy was saying. I think Hackett is just. I don't like him, and I think that's another reason why Bronco will struggle a little bit.
I think it's the problem with Hackett is that you brought in Hackett to get Aaron Rodgers, and that kind of shit the bed. It's like,
exactly.
All right.
He went all in on that guy.
That was the only reason they hired Hackett, because they thought
it was like, all right, well, now you got the guy you didn't want, that you wanted to be the handcuff, and now he's the entire thing, and you ended up not getting the guy that you wanted. Like, it's fine if you get Rodgers and you have Hackett handcuffed to him, but now if you just have Hackett and a pair of handcuffs, it's like, Jesus Christ. But I would have rather just brought back Fangio at that point.
Yeah.
I like the Chargers to win this division. I agree. They had a good offense last year. Now I think they're going to finally have the defense to go with it. I actually have the Raiders at number 2 in this division as well. I like that addition of Devontae Adams with Carr. and I really like Carr. I think Carr is one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the league. And then I'd put the Chiefs at 3 and Denver at 4.
I respect it, Chris.
I think the Chiefs will be ahead of Denver, basically just because, like you said, Wilson's health, but that coach, not knowing what you're going to get from Hackett.
Right.
AFC,
I look at Patrick and them. Like you got Jerry Jeudy, Sutton, Patrick with Russell Wilson. I think, and it sounds like such an ignorant statement, but I don't care if Jay McLovin was the head coach. I think Russell Wilson with those weapons is going to be able to figure it out. I think Jay could go out there and tell Russ, hey, throw slants 90% of this game, and I think it's going to be effective.
And I just think too with the Chiefs, they've regressed so much offensively to me that offensively they're not going to be able to overcome the deficiencies, the inefficiencies of their defense. Man, it just
the addition of Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be bigger than people realize because Juju Smith-Schuster is what Sammy Watkins gave them the year that they won the Super Bowl. Then you bring in Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who's just a bigger version of Tyreek Hill.
Who's going to give you what Tyreek did? Bigger version or not, he's not better than Tyreek.
I'm not saying he is, but he's a bigger version of Tyreek Hill, so you still have MVS as your vertical threat. Juju Smith-Schuster is your do-everything guy that Sammy Watkins was the year they won the Super Bowl. You still have McCole Hardman. You still have Travis Kelce. They brought back Jerick McKinnon, who ended up being a postseason star last year. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be healthy again this year. They haven't regressed at all on offense.
You say
they added more pieces.
Wait, did you just bring up the running back that's always fumbling the ball?
That's why I said they brought back Jerick McKinnon. Jerick McKinnon is going to start over Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah.
I would think so too, but I think a big part of it too is like you said, like Clyde can't stay healthy. Juju's on his second year in a row of being injured, and one of the biggest things is Juju had a season-ending injury last year, very early on. So who knows if that shoulder is going to be able to keep up? I think there's a lot of question marks right now, and a big one for me is Orlando Brown. Like that's the hugest part of it is because I don't care who you have at running back. If you don't have Orlando Brown, there's not a lot of great guys on there. He makes a lot of those guys look better than what they are. He's one of the best offensive tackles in the game. If he truly sits out due to financial reasons, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have a really hard time because, number one, you're already a one-dimensional offense. You don't have a good running game. It's all right. It's not awful. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and say it's bottom of the barrel, but it's definitely not what Andy Reid would want it to be if Kareem Hunt was still there or something.
It's probably bottom half of the league.
Right. I would say it's like 25 to 30 something. Like I would say that. I wouldn't put them at 30, but I think they're pretty – it's pretty ass. But it's definitely something to where Patrick's just going to have to be Patrick, and there's no room for error. It's not like, you're at this point now where – you look at the Chiefs versus the Bills. Now if you have to air it out and there's 15 seconds left, can I really count on Juju? One, on being healthy, and two, on making that play with 15 seconds. I can count on Tyreek, run straight, and you got it. But it's like Juju's not that guy. And Marcus, watching him play for the Packers as long as I did, he's not really that guy either. I mean, if he was, Aaron Rodgers would use him, but he didn't. So it's like, to me, it's just one of those things where you're not going to know until you know. But that defense definitely isn't going to help him either.
And Scantling has trouble with drops as well.
Yeah, he leads the league in drops a lot. And
Hill led the league last year.
Yeah, he leads his conference 100%. Though I've watched this kid. Yeah. I've watched this kid. The Packers could beat the Bears 100-0 last season if Marcus doesn't drop like 3 passes. But I think that's a big thing with him though too. Is you need to understand your quarterback, and I think having Patrick. I personally myself, I think Aaron has a stronger ball than Patrick, so I think it's going to be a lot better, easier for him to catch the ball. That's just me personally, but I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
And the last division is the AFC South. I'll start it because I'm gonna go with my team. I like the Colts at number 1. I think they're gonna win this division. I like the upgrade. I like what they brought in on defense. They brought in Gilmore on defense. We already had a solid defense. We still have a solid offensive line. I think Matt Ryan still has a couple productive years left in him. The only thing that worries me about the Colts.
Sorry, Chris. I thought that was a joke. You being serious?
Only thing that worries me about the Colts is their offensive, not the offensive line, their receiving core. Right now Pittman's would be our number one receiver, and not that he's not an improving. I mean, he's improving. He had a good season last year, but also not having somebody on the other side, you're just going to be able to double team you. So that's the one thing I'm worried about with the Colts. But I think they'll finish first in the South. For one, the division is not very tough. Jacksonville, we don't know what they're going to be. Houston's a mess. You have Tennessee, but Tennessee has Derrick Henry. Other than that, I don't trust Tannehill. So I have the Colts winning this division. What do you think about the AFC South, Mike?
Ooh, this one it's hard because I was one of those guys. I don't know what it was that told me to start watching Wisconsin football about 2 years ago, but I watched every single game of Jonathan Taylor. For whatever reason, I would just turn it on and I'd be like, you know what, I like the Badgers this year. And I watched Jonathan Taylor grow into who he is today. And he's one of my favorite players in the league. And honestly, I'm debating getting his jersey. I really am. But I think
get it, Mike.
I might, but
I'm getting one.
well, now I'm afraid to get it because LaMelo Ball is a douchebag and changed his number to 1 today. So now I have to get a new LaMelo Ball jersey. But with that being said, I think the Colts to me are the easy favorite. I think that defense is great. I think just like you said, sure the Titans have Derrick Henry, but we have Jonathan Taylor. You know what I mean? Like it's tick for tack, and I trust Matt Ryan a lot more than I trust Ryan Tannehill. I think. As much as Frankie might hate that, I truly hate Ryan Tannehill with a passion. But
can I just say, I don't know, man. I think Tom Brady took away every bit of confidence Matt Ryan had left.
100%. 100%. It's hard to eat that. But that's why you're in a new location. Forget about it. It's over. The other kids in ATL can have to suffer with that one, them and their gambling issues. But it's something to where I think Indiana easily takes the cake. And then number 2 gets really interesting to me. I think honestly, it could be a cakewalk. It could be a cakewalk for the Tennessee Titans. I think that's the one that's pretty solidified as 1 and 2. But I think honestly, I think the Jaguars take 3rd. I think they've made a lot of improvements. I'm still a Trevor Lawrence fan. I was a Clemson Tigers fan for a little bit. I love Trevor. He's that guy. But I think he definitely took a lot of shit last year in a very shitty situation. I mean, I don't remember if it was Jay McLovin or Pride or who, but we got into an argument about Trevor Lawrence. Let me just say, if your head coach kicked the kicker, that's not my guy's fault. That's not my guy's fault for that situation. But you bring in Christian Kirk, you bring in DJ Chark, you bring in all these guys.
Chark's gone.
Yeah, and then I think a big part to me is Travis Etienne. I love that draft just because those two were together in Clemson. Those two won a championship together. I think those two are going to be great. And then Houston's just dog shit. So I put Houston at 4 because they're a disgrace of a football team.
Damien says Titans, Jags, Colts, Texans.
That's something. That's sure.
That's your Chicago native guy, bro.
That's Rob Scott's guy. That's Rob Scott's
guy. That is Rob Scott's guy. You're right. Rob's always protecting Damien. Rob be like, yo, everybody, why don't you just leave Damien alone?
You know what? But that's Rob Scott's brother.
Yeah, Damian Good P. He just a troll. That's all.
Hey, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trolling Marlins fans over here.
Hey, you know what? Hey, let me tell you something, man. This AFC South, man, is interesting. It's interesting. I'm gonna ride with the Colts by default because of the experience of Matt Ryan. We don't know if Julio Jones he might show up. He might go to the Colts. We know the relationship that him and Matt Ryan has, and as me and Chris has agreed. My cues. As me and Chris has agreed. Of course, Julio Jones has had his best time under Matt Ryan. Had the best career under Matt Ryan.
Why the hell does everybody have my face when they
that's a sexy face.
And when it comes to second,
that's a face a mother would love to kiss.
I'm going with the Tennessee Titans. It's just that to me, without Derrick Henry, Tennessee goes nowhere. So it's really going to be dependent on the health of Derrick Henry. Is he back? Is he fully healthy? We know that he's a stud at the running back position. So you cannot ever question that man's determination, strength, or skill at that position. And then you got to go Jacksonville, then Houston. That's my order.
What do you think, Jonathan?
Yeah, man, I'm going with the Colts, man. I'm going to give them a slight advantage. I like Jonathan Taylor too much. I think he's the most explosive running back in the NFL, clearly looking at him. And this was a Colts team that collapsed late in the season on the final day of the season last year. They performed the biggest choke job. I think
It's not the biggest choke job when you look at their history. They're 0-7 their last 7 years in Jacksonville. And that includes losing with Andrew Luck at quarterback.
Yeah,
they just can't win at Jacksonville for whatever reason it is. They just can't win.
For whatever reason, and the people on that day, they dressed up as clowns, and I mean, it was just atrocious for them. But I think this will be a different year for them. I like the Titans a second, Jags third, and then fourth, of course, Houston. Houston's a dumpster fire within itself, so they're not going to do much.
What about you, Frankie?
My bad. I'm playing Call of Duty right now because I don't give a shit.
I gotta do a show. I gotta do a show with Stat Guy, man. I gotta do a show with Stat Guy. Stat Guy know all the stats.
Nah, I think that the Colts are gonna win this division. Honestly, I feel like they're the better team. Just because of JJ Taylor and shit. Followed up with the Tennessee Titans. I feel like the Tennessee Titans still got it. You got that Derrick Henry still. I don't really believe in Ryan Tannehill, just like Mike Hughes says. Hey, Ryan Tannehill's really shit. And then, follow that up, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars. I feel like they're a little bit better. They're just more better than the Houston Texans because the Houston Texans are now the upgraded Detroit Lions. So that's how I see it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How about you, Stat Guy?
My TED Talk.
I want to go last.
Okay. Jay, you go then.
Yeah, I'll start from the bottom and work to the top. When it comes to the Texans, they obviously had the issue with Deshaun Watson. They got them involved in some stuff they shouldn't have got into to appease the quarterback, and it really put them in a bad spot. And they made some bad decisions there. But I do think that they're a dumpster fire. I think they're a team that, is reorganizing. They got, they brought in Lovie Smith to kind of reset the boundaries. Bill O'Brien really crippled that team. That was really, on their part, a bad hire. But I think they're coming out of the Bill O'Brien years. They had Dan Culley kind of right the ship up a little bit with Steele or Davis Mills. And then I think, that Lovie's going to get them. They're going to go in the right direction, but they still have a lot of work to do within that organization for sure. But again, then you got the Jacksonville, but I do have them at last. I got Jacksonville Jaguars. They're going to come in right above there. Trevor Lawrence, he just needs some development, and I think Peterson is going to give him the development that he needs, and he should be more successful underneath that regime with Peterson being there. So, but again, I got them at 3, and then it really comes down to Indianapolis and Tennessee for 1 and 2. You got Matt Ryan, which, in my opinion, he's just an average guy. I don't see nothing special about Matt Ryan. He's a game manager. He can do whatever. He got really embarrassed by Brady, whatever. But that really wasn't so much his fault as it was the head coaching for relaxing off of Brady and in the second half and letting Brady go to work. They should have kept that defensive pressure on Brady. And
Wait a minute. Didn't Matt Ryan win an MVP in the league?
I don't know. What year was that? That could have been
2017.
Okay, he won an MVP. How are you going to say he's an average quarterback?
I don't even Matt Ryan. That fucking Ryan. Nobody cares about Matt Ryan. Nobody cares about Matt Ryan. He's not a bad quarterback, but he's
I can tell you one person that cares about Matt Ryan. Me.
Well, be honest, Matt Ryan is older, man. Look,
I think Matt Ryan played some good football this year.
Hey, Matt Ryan, but really, Matt Ryan, he's not a young puppy. He's getting up there. But again, his supporting cast. Who's he really throwing the ball to? An old T.Y. Hill if he comes back?
That's the only thing that worries me is the receiving core.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you, Gonzo. You gotta let me build my case. You're trying to interrupt me when I'm trying to build the case. Now, I was quiet. I didn't say shit. But you asked me what I thought, and I'm trying to tell you what I thought. And what I thought was there's a tit for tat at running back. Because you can make the case for Henry, you can make the case for Jonathan Taylor, both exceptional running backs. So, again, I think one cancels out the other. I'm not saying that Matt Ryan is better than Tannehill, but Tannehill can run. He can still run. He can still do what he needs to do. But what I think it comes down to is the receiving core. And I think as long as Robert Woods comes back healthy from last year, and you team up with Treylon Burke, I think that's a damn good ass receiving core. And I think that's where I give it to them. And I think that it's going to come down to it's going to be close. It's going to be close between Indianapolis and the Titans. I don't think it's going to be a runaway by no means. But I am going to give the edge to – I'm going to give the edge to Tennessee by a little bit, and I got Indianapolis at number 2.
Okay.
But I don't think it's going to be that much.
I think the Colts' defense is better than the Titans' defense as well.
Yeah, but one way to find out, and that's play the season, I guess.
What you got, Stat Guy?
So Houston I have finishing last just because the position that franchise is in right now, it's going to be so difficult for them to win games this year. With Lovie Smith being there, it's going to help. But I don't think Davis Mills is the starter beyond this year. I think they make a run at Baker Mayfield next year if Mayfield has a good year with Carolina this year. And if Mayfield ends up in Houston, maybe the tides will turn a little bit in their favor.
Or if they have a bad year, they might be able to get Young next year. Or
Yep.
one of the college quarterbacks coming out.
CJ Stroud or somebody like that. Yep. I have the Tennessee Titans finishing third. The loss of A.J. Brown is going to be bigger than people realize because he was really the only trusted target that Ryan Tannehill had. Without A.J. Brown at wide receiver, who is Ryan Tannehill going to trust in that passing game consistently? As good as Derrick Henry has been, he is coming off a foot injury. A foot injury that has ultimately ended the careers of a lot of running backs. Is Derrick Henry going to be the same Derrick Henry of old? Or is he going to I'm not going to say go on a downturn because he's still young, but is he going to be the Derrick Henry of old, or is he now going to be just one of those typical 1,000-yard running backs that you just hand the ball off to 250, 300 times, knowing that he doesn't have the same explosiveness that he did before he got that foot injury? I'm going with the Colts to finish second, mainly because Jonathan Taylor is going to be Jonathan Taylor. Matt Ryan's a better quarterback than what Carson Wentz was, but they still haven't had a decent quarterback since Andrew Luck. And if you don't have consistently good or consistently healthy wide receivers, that doesn't do you much good. But they do have the best defense in that division, which is going to help them win games. And I'm going to be the only one picking Jacksonville to win the division. There's one reason why I'm doing that, and that's because of Doug Peterson. We've seen what Doug Peterson has done with young quarterbacks. We've seen what Doug Peterson did. What?
I want to make sure I heard that correctly. Did you say Jacksonville's going to win the division?
Yep.
Okay, continue on. I was looking at that. I said, did I hear it right? I got to ask him. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because we've seen what Doug Peterson has done with young quarterbacks. Look at what he did with Carson Wentz in Philadelphia. Doug Peterson drafted Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz went 7-9 his first year with Doug Peterson. The next year, Carson Wentz plays at an MVP level in Philadelphia, goes to the Super Bowl. Same thing can happen with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is more gifted than what Carson Wentz was when Carson Wentz was drafted. They've invested a lot of money on the offensive side of the ball to help Trevor Lawrence. Travis Etienne is going to be back and healthy, which was one of Trevor Lawrence's favorite targets in college. And now you have a coach that knows how to work with a young quarterback, unlike Urban Meyer. I think Jacksonville is going to surprise a lot of people this year because of that reason.
Okay. I mean, I don't think it'll happen, but I can see it. I'm a big Trevor Lawrence fan too. I think Trevor Lawrence. A lot of people wanted to call him a bust after the season he had last year. You have to put some of it on Trevor Lawrence, but most of that was the Jacksonville organization. I mean, with everything going on with Urban Meyer, and like you said, Urban not knowing how to work with a young quarterback. So I do think Trevor Lawrence is going to look a lot better this season.
I mean, you give Lawrence Evan Ingram, who's a great tight end.
Yep.
Having ETN back is certainly going to help him both in the rushing game and the passing game because ETN is very good at catching screens.
And they improved the offensive line as
Yep.
well.
James Robinson is still going to be there at running back, so that's another great option. They brought in Christian Kirk. They have Zay Jones. Jeff Cotton is there. Jamal Agnew. I mean, they don't have like an elite number one receiver, but they got a bunch of number twos and number threes that just know how to make plays.
You know, I thought it was interesting the fact that Jacksonville comes in at 26. The Tennessee Titans come in at 24 on strength of schedule, followed by Jacksonville, followed by Indianapolis. it's just how you guys are right there in a row in terms of strength of schedule.
Because of our
Strength of
division.
schedule. Strength of schedule means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and we're there because of our. We're all there together because of our. We're all in the same division.
The strength of schedule, I always hate. I wish they would do it twice, just because the strength of schedule is always based off of the records from the year before. It's never based off of what a team does in free agency. It's never based off of what a team does in the draft. It's never based off of if a team makes a trade before the NFL season starts. If you would put the strength of schedule out when it's.
But if you look at like Indianapolis plays 6 teams that I see that are going to give them fits, and I see the Titans got 8 teams that are really giving them fits.
Do the strength of schedule like a.
Do the strength of schedule in August. I guarantee it's going to look different than when you release that schedule in April.
Yeah, do it like halfway during the season, and then do one at the end of the season.
Like the strength of schedule comes out in March or whenever it comes out, and it's based off of everything that happened the year before. If you would wait to release that until after the draft, after free agency, that strength of schedule is going to look completely different than it did when they first dropped it. Yeah. Like look at Minnesota last year had, I think the number 1 or number 2 hardest schedule.
I think Minnesota's
based off of like opponents' winning percentage through the year, but when the season started, their strength of schedule was 19th.
Yeah. I think Minnesota is going to have a good chance of winning their division this year.
Minnesota, boy, I tell you what, you know what? I hate Minnesota, but I am excited. I am curious. That team, I'm telling you, man, I got feeling they're going to have a breakout year, brother.
I think Minnesota wins the division, and I think the one move that would put them over the top is if they can get Ndamukong Suh, who's still choosing between the Raiders and Minnesota are his top 2 choices.
Damien said, to be fair, my prediction, AFC South is like the NFC East, very confusing.
Yeah, I mean, well, it is. I mean, you look at 1 and 2, I can see that because it's going to be very close between the 2.
Yep. Well, let's get to final thoughts. Well, actually, before final thoughts, who's going to win the home run derby? Who you got, Jay?
Okay. Yeah, who I got Alonzo Wood face that dude from the Mets, but who I want is Pujols. I just want that storybook ending for him to ride out into the sunset. But again, I think Alonzo, man, that dude is just a beast, man. I think he gets a 3-time.
About you, stat guy?
I'm going with Schwarber mainly because he was hosed the last time he did it when he was facing Bryce Harper. When Bryce Harper got 3 extra pitches because the guy pitching to him threw it before the ball landed, which is not what you're supposed to do. Yeah. Otherwise, Schwarber beats Harper by 2 home runs. So I think Schwarber is going to come out with a little bit more vengeance this time.
We got Jonathan.
I'm going with Pete Alonso. He loves to hit in LA. This is his event, and you know he's a pure hitter. I'm going with Alonso, but I would like the storybook ending for Albert Pujols. I think that would be a bittersweet story if he does somehow pull off a miraculous upset in this event. I just don't see it. But at the end of the day, the guy that you give this to is Alonso. Just an amazing contact hitter. Yeah. Great power hitter.
Yep. All right. I'm going with Soto. So Jay and the sports judge both have Alonso. That guy went with Schwarber. That was going to be my other choice just because I'll be rooting for Schwarber because he went to IU. But I think Soto is going to get it this year. I think it should be entertaining. I'm ready for it tonight. I got an interview at 6:30, and then after that, it's time to watch the home run derby.
Hey, I'll tell you, if Soto's sitting there hitting 250 and he wants that $500 million, he better win the home run derby.
No, he better not, because history shows that if you win the home run derby, you go into a second half slump. Yep. Which is why a lot of guys only do it one time and never go back and do it again, because they realized how much it affected their swing the second half.
Yeah, we saw that with Bobby. Remember Bobby Abreu back in the day when he put on that performance in the home run derby, and after
Ryan Howard. When Ryan Howard was in Detroit, he took second in the home run derby that year and had, I think, like 50 home runs over the night. Second half of the season, he hits a .213 with 13 home runs because he affected his swing so much, because all he was caring about was trying to hit home runs, and all of a sudden that's the mindset you have for the home run derby, and your swing is so messed up the second half.
It throws to get back in that groove.
Yep.
All right, let's get the final thoughts. Jay, you can go first, man.
Oh, based on what stat guy just put up, I'm really glad there's no Astros in the home run derby because we don't need to be messed up our swing going into the doubleheader. So, again, I guess it's a good thing. No, that being said, man, we got a hellfight weekend of baseball coming up, man. Between the derby, the game itself, the doubleheader between the Stros. I mean, there's a lot of good baseball getting ready to come our way. And then we got, what you said, football getting ready to start up. So, man, we're trying to be live fantasy football. Let's get it going.
Stat guy, you have anything?
Yeah, we're currently in round 6 of the Major League Draft. Today we'll go to round 10, and tomorrow will be 11 through 20. There's been a couple big surprises today. Ben Joyce from Tennessee went to the Angels, the guy that throws 105, 106. The 11th best prospect in terms of Major League Baseball rankings somehow fell to the 3rd round and was nabbed up today. So that's going to be a huge steal for the Pittsburgh Pirates after they already got arguably the best player in the draft in the 1st round. They could have 2 of the top 15 prospects sitting in their top 3 picks. And then if any of you guys haven't had a chance to watch the video, I got to remember the guy's name. But all you got to do is type in 527-foot home run. There was the Arizona Diamondbacks prospect on Saturday night hit a 527-foot home run in Double-A, and it completely left the stadium and like one hopped across the street.
Yeah, if you're 526 feet, you're out the damn stadium.
It was to dead center over the batter's eye, and all you see in the backdrop is that one hops and it goes across the street.
Jesus, that's a shot. Did it say the exit velocity or anything?
119.
I'm gonna say it had to be up there. 119. Wow. What you got, Jonathan?
I wasn't paying attention. What's up?
Got any final thoughts? You
trolling?
Are you still trolling Red Sox fans?
I'm trolling Marlins fans because they're getting on my nerves with this Sandy Alcantara not starting nonsense. Okay, Kershaw earned it. I don't care what anybody says.
No.
He's never starting.
Kershaw's starting because of where the game is. Kershaw is starting because of where the game is. If this game was anywhere else, Sandy Alcantara is starting.
There, take that, Jonathan. Take it, smoke.
Alcantara's got better numbers than Kershaw. He's got a lower ERA. He's got more strikeouts. But he's got less walks. He's got a lower OPB. The only reason why Kershaw gets to start because it's in LA.
Those are the facts. Yeah. Those are the facts, absolutely. But Kershaw's never started an All-Star game. So this is well-deserving for a guy who is one of the best pitchers of our generation.
He's never started the All-Star game because he never has the best stats going into it. He's more of a second half pitcher.
The politically correct police are here, and when you say that, you have to say my generation because my generation and Noah Ryan is my generation is not the same.
Yeah.
I think my final thoughts is this: LA, baby.
Dustin's right.
If you look at Kershaw's career,
Kershaw pitches better in the second half of the season.
Yeah, if you look at Kershaw's career, he has 27 games above 500 during the first half of the year, which is still great. Mm-hmm. But he's 61 games above 500 after the All-Star break.
Right.
That's why he's never started an All-Star game because he's usually around like 9-5 or 10-6 at the All-Star break, which isn't bad. But you have a guy like Tony Gonsolin should be starting the All-Star game. The guy's 11-0 for God's sakes. Or you got Tyler Anderson who's 10-1. Both have better numbers than Clayton Kershaw, but Clayton Kershaw's getting the nod.
I'm not knocking any of that. I'm just happy because this is his first ever start in the All-Star game. I'm happy for him. And that masterpiece the other night, I'm happy what he did to the Angels. I'm happy he came out there.
One more thing to know. Hey, Verlander moved up to 14 in the strikeouts all time, and he passed up Bob Gibson, Pedro Martinez, and I think that the way he's going, if he continues to stay healthy with the Tommy John, he could make it up to 8th. We'll have to wait and see. Because
for a guy his age, he has absolutely.
Bro, his ERA, Jonathan, he's leading the league in wins at 12-3, and he's got a 1.89 ERA. This after Tommy John, damn, I'm just saying.
Hey, same thing with Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer moved up to 15th on the list with his 11 strikeouts against the Cubs.
Scherzer came back from that injury like
Like
just like he was
nothing.
pitching
Right.
before, it didn't even look like it affected him.
But you know what? I wonder if Verlander still has his pregame Taco Bell meal. That's a good question.
Now, that is a good question. I love Taco Bell. It's such a good stuff.
I used to like Taco Bell. It's not the same anymore.
You know why it's not the same? Because they shrink every damn thing. The damn burrito back in the day was this long.
Plus, it's not a real taco. It's not a real taco. They authentic Mexican food.
Nah,
Listen, I think it was,
Hey, you don't eat a real taco, you'll never eat Taco Bell again. You
I
eat a
think
real
it was
taco,
voted-
you won't want Taco
I think
Bell
it
no
was-
more.
but I think Taco Bell was voted as the healthiest fast food restaurant, from what I heard.
Yeah, because it cleans out your colon.
and it does. Hey, listen, it does clean out the colon now.
Hey,
That's why.
Hey, but hey, Jay, I will give you this: Taco Bell is good, especially if you've been after when you get drunk. It's a good
Bro,
food
it's
to
the
eat.
best drunk food ever.
no, I went last
And
month.
it's until 4 a.m.
Yep, go.
I went last
After
month
Taco
when they
Bell,
had
go
the-
home and eat. And, yeah.
I went last month when they had the Mexican pizza. They bought the Mexican pizza bag, and I jetted to Taco
Wait,
Bell.
hold on. Jonathan, you hear some, Jonathan, you hear some funny shit? 2 o'clock this morning. 2 o'clock. I literally stood up in bed, and I started putting on my slippers, because look, when you're at 2 o'clock in the morning, you ain't get out of your car. My shorts, and I think that was it. Shorts and some slippers. And my wife's like, where you going? Taco Bell. You want anything? I'm just saying, I love Taco Bell. 4 a.m. You can wake up dead in the middle of the night and still get food. It's beautiful.
No, Jack in the Box is the best tacos to eat when you're drunk. Jack in the Box tacos.
We don't
I
have
haven't
it.
seen a Jack in the Box in years. I
We don't
think
have
Jack in
it.
the Box is kind of fading out a little bit, though.
We don't have a
Yeah,
Jack in the
why?
Box down here.
I don't see many Jack in the Boxes.
Oh, we're all over. They're all over California. They're all.
That's
Yeah.
California. That's
We're not
California.
around here.
When our pitchers get 7 or more strikeouts, you get a free jumbo Jack in the LA area.
Oh, there you go. That's what's up. Man, you used to have a lot of Jack in the Box in Houston, and you can't find any of them now. Like, they're all gone.
really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're all gone. Yeah, it is. Because hey, Jack in the Box, hey, we call it Jack in the Crack, but yeah, man, they have some good food, man. No doubt about it.
Well,
Especially when
they're
you're
all
drunk.
I got one more final thought, too.
All right.
Keep an eye on Matt Mervis, the prospect you may have never heard of. An undrafted free agent by the Chicago Cubs in 2020, sitting in Double-A right now, hitting a .317 with 21 home runs and 80 RBIs. The 80 RBIs is more than any major league player at this point in the season. He has more RBIs than any professional baseball player at any level.
Well, that's Double-A, though. Come on. Don't start talking about MLB. He did Double-A. But
It's still he's 34. It doesn't matter if it's still Double-A. He's 34 RBIs ahead of anybody else at Double-A.
It's Double-A. My guy in the Pee Wee leagues hit 70. What am I going to say? He's better than MLB? What the fuck?
Just saying. Prospect rankings are prospect.
He's hit T-ball. He's got 106 RBIs.
No, but prospect rankings are just rankings. Prospect rankings never actually pan out the way they're supposed to, because this guy's not even in the top 100. He's not even in the top 30. He was undrafted.
Well, I've never heard of him before. Honestly, I never have. So
Yeah, he's at a Duke University. He plays first base. So that could be the replacement for Anthony Rizzo.
oh, okay.
Hey, hey.
Yeah.
They need somebody to replace Rizzo. I'm not a Cubs fan, but I just like when the Reds beat the Cubs, because then I don't have to listen to my girl about the Cubs, how good the Cubs are, because she's a big Cubs fan. So I'm just hoping the Reds don't get rid of Castillo.
They will. They don't have a choice.
I know they're going to, but I don't want them to. Keep getting rid of everybody.
They don't have a choice. They'll get rid of him.
So, hey, just so I understood you right. So you think Tamar Johnson though is the best in the draft?
I think he's got the highest upside.
But even more so than Drew Jones. Drew Jones,
I think Drew Jones is the most MLB ready player right now. Where I think I could realistically see him getting into the major leagues by the end of next year. I think he's the most like MLB ready player at this point. But I think what was the guy's name? Tremont Johnson.
Yeah,
I think he has the highest upside, because if you compare his stats to Drew Jones's stats, He's got a better batting average than Drew Jones. He's got more RBIs, just less home runs. So he projects to have better overall tools than Drew Jones. It's just that he's more of a long-term project to kind of figure out the player he wants to be, where Drew Jones is pretty much everyone expects him to be great from the beginning.
You know, the thing about Drew Jones is that they're saying he's a 5-tool guy, and I don't know if Tamar Johnson's a 5-tool, so that's where I kind of have a hard time.
That's why he's like more of a project. He's projected to be a 5-tool guy, but he doesn't have like all 5 tools yet. He's got like 3 really good tools.
Hey,
and
you know,
one
you know
like
how projections are. You know how projections are. We hope that
This
that's what's
escalated
happening.
quickly.
I can't read that mess. Read that. You guys haven't won since 98, 2000.
No, I said the few Marlins fans who still exist are crying because Sandy Alcantara is not starting the All-Star game. They've been crying since 2003, the last time they won the World Series. Don't forget to thank Steve Bartman. And then
how dare you mention that man's name?
Hey, this one guy came back and said, you guys haven't won since 1988. 2020 was a Mickey Mouse ring, just like the Lakers.
That's a rough one. Hey, that's a rough comment to come back with. Holy cow.
I can't. Like you were saying about Drew Jones, though. I think Drew Jones is the best prospect right now. But there's another high schooler that I gotta look back and see what team took him that's actually better than Drew Jones. But I just can't remember what team took him.
I think when the Pirates drafted at 4, that Johnson definitely was the best pick for them. No doubt about it. It's gonna be interesting.
And that's why that's why I like baseball's minor league system. That's why I like baseball's player development system better than anybody else, because you actually get a player development system. Where if you're better off, you get put in higher levels. If you're not so good, you get put in the low levels and you work your way up. Unlike the NBA G League, where you're there or you're in the NBA, and if you're not in the G League, then you're not really playing. The NFL doesn't have a developmental system. NHL only has the AHL and the EHL, which is pretty much the AHL at this point. MLB is the only one that actually has like a legitimate player development system where players can develop at their own pace. And then organizations move them based off of the success they have from each year.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point.
All right. Anybody have anything else?
I hate that shirt, Jonathan.
No, my final thoughts is don't disrespect the Mickey Mouse ring. Okay, that is the most special championship ring that you could win. You got to cherish that ring. It's a beautiful ring. Anything with Mickey Mouse on it.
Hey. I do have a final thought, and it really is to help Jonathan out and really the public out. If anybody has issues with suede shoes, don't ask Jonathan Mathis to fix it.
Oh,
Shots fired.
that escalated quickly.
Jonathan knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah, I messed up my cool gray 11s, unfortunately. But they're in the shop for a repair, so I'll be fine.
So I wonder if the repair on the shoe
so it's fixable.
Is equal to the value of the shoe.
What was that?
So I wonder if the repair of the shoe cost is equal to the value of the shoe.
That's a good question.
I got breaking news for everyone before we sign off.
You bought some Jordans and you got some suede shoes.
No, this actually comes out of Minnesota Vikings camp.
Oh, okay.
Eric Kendricks, who everybody knows who Eric Kendricks is,
broke
his silence as to what life was like with Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer purposely changed the offensive game plan late in games to try to make Kirk Cousins fail.
Wow. That's messed up.
Because Mike Zimmer did not respect and did not like Kirk Cousins from day one, so he did what he could do to try to get Kirk Cousins to fail to get him pushed out the door.
Man, when you're doing stuff like that, man, that's some ethical shit. I hate people like that. Come on.
And look at the numbers Cousins putting up with a coach that's not getting him the best situation.
Top 10 offense the last 3 years with a coach that doesn't want you there.
Yeah, that's some bullshit. Pardon my French, but that's messed up. That is absolutely.
There's a reason why Mike Zimmer does not have a job right now.
Well, he doesn't need to have a job if that's the kind of character that he has.
No, but I'm just saying, like, everyone thought that he was going to be like this hot defensive coordinator commodity the day that he was let go of Minnesota. They figured he was going to be one of the first defensive coordinators to get hired. There's a reason why he doesn't have a job, and now you're hearing all these stories about how he treated his employees and how he treated his players in Minnesota.
Wow. That's
There's been multiple players come out and say things.
There's a reason why Kirk Cousins has had 5 different offensive coordinators in 5 years with Minnesota, because the offensive coordinators cannot work with Mike Zimmer because of that reason. They have a specific game plan they're using for 3 quarters, and all of a sudden quarter 4 comes up and Zimmer changes the whole thing.
And that's one of the reasons I say Kirk Cousins is underrated, because look how many different offensive coordinators he's had, different offenses he's had to run. A coach that don't want you there and basically trying to sabotage you. And look at
the reason why this came out is what happened with Justin Jefferson. If you remember last year, Justin Jefferson was not last year, his rookie year, Justin Jefferson was within 12 yards of breaking Randy Moss's record in the fourth quarter. And Mike Zimmer refused to throw him the ball in the fourth quarter. And then when asked about it after the game, he said, "Records are stupid. I want winners, not record holders."
Yeah, I remember that.
When all it would have taken was one 12-yard pass to Jefferson, and he would have the record.
You know, it's stuff like that that really just destroys the chemistry of your team. And people like that honestly don't deserve to be in coaching. If that's your moral compass, you don't belong in coaching.
Nope. You don't. You're right. All right. We're going to get out of here. Thanks for joining us today on this. We had a long episode today, but thanks for joining us for the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. I want to thank Jay and Stat Guy, Jonathan, Frankie, Mike Hughes, Rob Scott. I think I got everybody for joining us.
LA, baby! LA!
We'll see you guys tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern for another episode of the ASAP Afternoon Blitz. I'm sure we'll be talking home run derby and all that good stuff tomorrow. So come join us tomorrow, and everybody have a good day.
All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a place. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.